Welcome, ladies and gentlemen out there in internet land. My name is Brian Trippett. I am the Front Porch Conservative. Welcome to our live stream coverage of the New Hampshire primary. Live, coming to you from our office, or my office, or all of our offices, and you'll understand the reason for the plural here in just a minute. We are on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Twitter, and thank you so much for everybody who's been sending out tweets, Gettrs, Truth Socials, Gabs, whatever you got. Bless your hearts. We thank you so much for spreading the word about this little gathering of friends that get together to watch numbers come in and comment on what goes on in the world. So yeah, numbers are starting to roll in New Hampshire, and oh my gosh, I'll get to that in a minute, but I better start introducing everybody because things are about to get updated fast and furious here. So that said, let me bring on the panel. Some of them you know, some of them we're bringing on for the very first time. First, my good buddy, Reuben Christopher Haynes. How you doing, Reuben?
Very good, very good. Thank you for being here.
Then we'll bring in, he was here last week for Iowa. He's now back for New Hampshire. I thought he was taking a risk to his professional reputation by hanging out with the likes of us, but apparently he likes to live dangerously. The Professor, Christian Watson. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. He is one half of the Dangerous Rhetoric Podcast. Please welcome in Mr. Brent. How are you, sir?
Hey, doing good. Thanks for having me.
Cool. He is a published author and a great asset to the state of Nebraska in more ways than one. Mr. Chad Manley from Twitter. How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me.
And finally, we have a new addition to the group. Not new necessarily to most people who watch these streams, but we have the legendary Flagrant Trigger himself. Good evening, Mr. Cam.
How are you doing?
Oh, working and living the dream. Gentlemen, the reason that I hurried through those introductions as opposed to going through them with the normal amount of theatrical hamminess that I am reputed to have is that we've already got news coming out of New Hampshire because take a look at this, gentlemen. They've already called New Hampshire as soon as I can get this thing. I'm not kidding. We literally just came on the air 2 minutes ago.
Perfect.
And they have called New Hampshire. But
we're done. Good night.
Did I tell you?
Good night. You're going to win the audience. We're out of here. Decision Desk has called New Hampshire. Now, let me kind of back up and explain to the audience what exactly is going on here. And I take full responsibility of this one as the host. I had forgotten about one quirky feature of New Hampshire, and it's this. The smaller townships and hamlets, their polls will close at 7 p.m. Eastern. They will start rolling in numbers. The major population cities, counties, etc., those polls don't close until 8. It is general agreement by everyone in the media, no race is called until at least 8 p.m. when the polls close. And apparently, even absent the major population centers and counties, going ahead and reporting their numbers, the Decision Desk has looked at enough polling and enough results from around the state to realize, okay, Trump's going to win this thing. So he has been declared winner by Decision Desk. Right now, with about almost 20% of the vote in New Hampshire, he's got a 12-point lead over Nikki Haley. I am a little surprised it's got called this early, but then again, those guys that do this kind of stuff have been doing it for years, and they know exactly what they're looking for. So we will throw it to this very esteemed panel. Well, wait a minute. Hold it. Okay, there we go. First boomer of the night. Let's keep count. Well, I was going to ask the audience to send in their predictions about, at what minute and hour would the race be called and by what percentage? Well, there went that plan. So,
well, we're on the East Coast now, right? So Iowa was 2 hours behind us when we were talking about it?
1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour. So, but still.
Yep. Indeed. So, gentlemen, anybody want to take a crack at
first thing we should point out for the audience out there is that New Hampshire is a mixed primary state. So the people that vote in the New Hampshire primary are not just Republicans. So there's a lot of independents. New Hampshire is a weird state. They're very libertarian. And anybody can vote in any primary.
That is true. And Christian was sharing some thoughts on that, and I'll ask him to go ahead and carry on with that, I have personally myself, I've never liked the idea of an open primary. And Christian, I know you were talking about a little earlier. You want to share with the audience some of what you were saying?
Yeah, no, I think it's absolutely horrible. So if you're going to have a party that is based around certain ideas, and the process to elect candidates on the basis of those ideas has to be secured from external influence. Well, the problem with open primaries is that it completely throws that out the window. There's no safeguard and limitations. But not only that, but there's something a little bit deeper going on here as well. See, electoral politics is not about ideas or philosophy, nothing about that. Electoral politics is about power relationships and power conflict. Even to the people that analyze it, a lot of people will ask themselves, okay, how does policy X forward party Y? How does policy X forward party Z? That is where most consideration of policies and their substance begins and ends for most people. And I find that a rather disturbing prospect in a country whose founders thought that political parties are probably the greatest menace to freedom that could possibly be devised in the minds of men. And so we literally have a mindset dominating our political considerations that goes all the way down to priding the institutions over everything else. And so when you have that kind of mindset, you get things like this. So I don't know. I think that it's a reflection of how dangerous our current political system is right now. I think it's a reflection of how impoverished our thinking around these issues is. And I think that it's also a reflection of, of a lot of other things as well that, take me a lot to get through. But yeah, I don't like open primary processes. It ought to be closed. You ought to have to take a test and prove you are in the ideology that correlates with the party that you are supporting, whether you be a progressive or a conservative or whatever. And you ought to be barred from participating in the other party's processes. And there ought to be also, I think, a limit on when and how you can change your registration. Because let's say for some reason you had a change of heart, you decided you wanted to be, instead of being a Democrat, you want to be a Republican. That's fine. You have to wait probably like 5 years in between changes, though. And if you have a change of heart within those 5 years, oh well, I don't care. When you have a republic, you have to safeguard it from influences that seek to corrupt it, and this is one of those influences. And Nikki Haley is kind of an amalgamation of all these problems put into one. And so she's another reason why I think this process needs to be relooked and reanalyzed. So, yeah.
Get her out. She's a joke.
Oh, no, indeed. It's true. It's true because I always look at back two very famous speeches or very famous addresses: Washington's farewell address and Eisenhower's farewell address.
Yeah,
Washington warned us of the two-party system, and Eisenhower warned us of the military-industrial complex, which has now become, in my term, the complex. It's everything that has been pushed forward.
The military, pharmaceutical, media,
everything.
Yeah,
and it's now it's not a question now of the two parties. Who do you pick? It's the uniparty that has the complex, and the person who basically touted that as the first grassroots, or not actually grassroots, fake grassroots type of thing was Obama, who, in my opinion, he basically was utilized as a Manchurian candidate that picked everything, took all this stuff, social media, this and that. Clinton did it in a way because when he appeared on the Tonight Show with playing the saxophone, and Kennedy did it as well because he had charisma and all that stuff. But again, and was Life and Camelot, all this other things. But the amalgamation of Obama, and then you have that whole cult of personality where now people are basically following, what Taylor Swift does, or what TikTok does, or what's trending on, it used to be what's trending on Twitter, but now they're trying to basically saying, well, Twitter's now bad, so X is the enemy, which we have more freedom now to communicate. But again, it's that cult of, the media that you see. I stopped watching television completely, but when I do walk around the gym or anywhere I see that television, and I look at it and glance at it, it's either trying to get to have you buy something you don't need, or even use this drug and ask your doctor about, and going, it's forcing you to just want to do things, or to be something that's contorted, and there's nothing that's genuine anymore. I can now realize what Trump did. Trump basically was a Democrat his entire life, was a man of the people, in that regard, because he worked hard and his whole life he did. He was trying to be a businessman, to work, and I did the same thing. I want to work with my clients what's best for them. Very short story. I was interviewed by a company called Enron in 1999, and I felt very like something's wrong here. So I declined working with them. And a year later, they did all the things they were doing. So no, I'm now resolved. Like last year, I was very sick. At the beginning, about a year ago, I was very sick, and God came to me and said, "I'm healing you," and I got healed. I lost 250 pounds of tumors. They're gone. I've dropped those tumors, and I'm going to finish the remaining 100. And then I'm changing my life. And now I want to have a candidate that I trust that's going to do something. And it's not just a candidate, it's a movement. Make America Great Again is not about Trump. It's about us. Because again, the things that they're doing to Trump, they would do to me, they would do to us, because we're basically saying, no, we're not doing this anymore. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care what you believe. If you believe that I have a right to have my life and do what I wish, we can do it. And that's what the movement's all about. And now they're forcing Haley, and the media is really saying that, Trump's going to be arrested. Trump's going to do this, and they are going to tout this. I don't know. We'll see now what they're saying right now, but it's very dangerous for not just our republic. It's a republic, not a democracy. Our republic. It's dangerous for generations to come, because you have people now who are believing that the world's going to end in 12 years, AOC people. And no, we can turn this around, and this should be a shot across the bow at the Uniparty at what they're doing. It's just the cult of personality, the cult of just, following one narrative. It's over. We have to fight back, and then I hope this all wraps up. But if Haley continues, then it's true that you have the Democrats in New Hampshire. It's an open primary. They just pushed them in there because they want to get the numbers. They want to damage Trump as much as possible. And it's a very sad state where they want to damage somebody because they want everyone to believe, because the headlines will say Haley closes in on Trump. It's going to be there. It's going to prop her up is what they're going to do. It's insane.
Absolutely. And that said, it's staying right now at about a steady 10% clip, the distance between the two of them. But like I say, this, and it could spread out as the night wears on. Now, there is one other race that I am very interested to see what happens. And gentlemen, lest you think that all the drama is on the Republican side, there is an exciting new candidate that is gotten in the race for Democrats, and their name is Write-In. Write-In, look at it. They're just blowing away the numbers here. Oh my God, Write-In is just
really
Democrat.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yep.
Now this is important.
Yeah, they did this on purpose.
Yeah, well, for folks out in the audience who are wondering who the heck is Write-In and how did they get into the Democrat primary, we'll back up and tell this story real quick. The Democrats, at the behest of President Biden, changed around the primary order. Democrats and Republicans have followed the same path for years. Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. Well, historically, Joe Biden has never done well in Iowa, and most certainly has never done well in New Hampshire. So to avoid him that embarrassment, the DNC changed around the order and stripped New Hampshire of its first-in-the-nation primary for Democrats. Needless to say, they were not happy. Well, New Hampshire looked at the DNC and said, we have a state law that says we're going first. We're going first. The DNC said, well, fine, but your delegates don't count at the convention. New Hampshire said, fine, we're still going to do it anyway. But to avoid the potential embarrassment for Biden, in spite of how they set this up, at the 11th hour, the Democrats set up a write-in campaign trying to get Democrats in New Hampshire which you can do. You can write in a name on the ballot. Well, apparently old write-in is getting about 54%.
Jesus.
But to go back to the point, look at this, guys. Joe Biden's only getting 15%. I mean, let's just assume for a moment the write-in was like
news.
Yeah, I mean, let's assume that the write-in was on behalf of pick a Democrat, right? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Right, exactly.
Okay. This incumbent president, absent a write-in vote on his behalf, would only be getting 16%. Basically, a two-term congressman from Minnesota in Dean Phillips is beating him by almost 10 points.
Well, this should be expected, though. I mean, Biden is very unpopular in his own party. Anybody with two firing neurons has been paying attention knows that he's not liked. He's not the preferred candidate, but for some reason, the DNC is just, they want to go with him.
Yep, absolutely.
That is shocking.
Cam, you and Chad got any thoughts on this?
I think the write-in thing, I think it's just the uncounted totals, because the 50% is the exact opposite of what has been counted.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the primary, I mean, yeah, nobody likes Joe Biden. My conspiracy is that he'll just be given the nomination out of default, and at a later date there will be a different candidate that steps in because he'll step out due to health reasons or something like that. And apparently Obama has been polling donors about Michelle being a candidate.
Right.
That came out today.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the thing is that she's unpopular, I think. She's very unpopular.
Obama's definitely going to have to
boost
it. Yeah, like it's the name brand is enough for most Democrats and people who don't pay attention. As far as the primary process goes in totality, like Christian was saying, me and Crash actually talked about this the other night. Like, should it just be open to where anyone in a state can vote in a primary instead of having to be a party allegiance affiliated, and then people just switch back and forth? Because when it comes to that, Republicans aren't going to do that, because Republicans, most of them, and conservatives and independents, they're more morally compass guided, where I'm not going to switch parties just to try to get a certain candidate in for this party.
Right.
But would it change if everyone did it? And then I got, like, when he was talking, I was thinking, well, the whole process is corrupted anyway, because the DNC and RNC aren't actual public entities. They're private corporations who gatekeep and give you the candidates they want you to have.
Yes.
Donald Trump won on a fluke because the RNC wanted him there to pull in numbers. I 100% believe that's the only reason Donald Trump was there. And then he talked like Americans felt, didn't necessarily do everything we wanted, but he talked the sentiment and the feeling that everyone was having, and ended up actually pulling the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one other thing before we get too deep into this, we're going to ask you, our audience tonight, to help us with something. If you happen to find short video clips of, let's say, MSNBC, CNN, whatever, with reactions, drop them in chat or tweet them at us and let us know, because we'll throw them up on the screen. And, if they're saying something that makes sense, we will be honest enough to let you know. If they're saying something that's absolutely ridiculous, believe me, we will let you know. But we want this to be as interactive and as fun a process, not just for us, for the 6 of us that are up here, but for everybody out there. So yeah, spread the word around. If you happen to be monitoring Twitter or wherever you are, and you see something that can be put together in like a 20, 30, or 40-second clip, send it over to us, tweet it at us. I'll do my best to keep an eye on my Twitter page, or in my case, if you think, hey, I want Front Porch to see this, drop it in chat, and we'll take a look at it, or tweet it at one of the guys. Everybody's got their Twitter handles out there. So yeah, just shoot it to us. We want to make this as fun for you as possible. And just a quick update on the numbers. Going back, there's now like a quarter of it in for the Republicans. I want to know how much Nikki Haley's vote is Democrats switched over in the last 48, 72, 96 hours. That's what I want to know, because if this were, this goes to the point, if this were just a straight Republican primary that's closed, I'm sorry, I'm convinced there ain't no way in the world she gets within 8 points of Donald Trump. But I agree with Reuben in that what's going to happen is that you can just hear it come tomorrow. Well, they're not going to wait till tomorrow morning.
No, I say no.
They're going to be, oh my God, Trump's vulnerable. Oh my God.
Honestly, this is an incredible win to me, because basically the New Hampshire primary is like a snapshot of the election were to happen today. Nikki Haley is the not Trump candidate. Trump is Trump. So because anybody can vote, you're basically getting, a really good large sample poll from the state of New Hampshire about where the population's voting public is in Trump versus not Trump. Because I mean, the election is Trump versus not Trump. Joe Biden's already established himself as, an antagonistic candidate. He scapegoated all of the country's problems on, MAGA extremists and Trump as this sort of representative figure. So this looks like a win. Like if this was the representative of a national election, if Trump gets 53% to, Biden's like 40 whatever percent, that's a blowout. That's like not even close.
Haley speaking now? You said that?
Yeah, she's speaking now. I just saw it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Keep talking, fellas. Let me.
She seems jubilant, to put it lightly. She seems.
Of course she is. She's gonna totally
that's the whole point.
And also, but let's also remember, there's nobody else in the contest. It's Nikki Haley.
But remember, and also that's what they're doing. She's gonna start talking because her handler's gonna say, "Go start talking," and then you have CNN, ABC, Fox are all gonna show it because it's basically gonna say, "Yes, she did it."
And then it looks like Trump is responding to her.
Hey,
she's
fellas,
the avatar of the corporate miasma.
I've got Nikki here. I've got Nikki here on NBC's website. I can throw it up there. You want me to put it out there?
Sure, a little.
Why not?
Okay. All right. Yeah, not a huge amount of it, obviously, but because there's only so much of her I can stand. But hang on, let me see what I can do here. Whoa!
And he is my friend, General Don Bolduc and Sharon. Thank you so much. I want to congratulate Donald Trump on his victory tonight. He earned it, and I want to acknowledge that. Now, you've all heard the chatter among the political class. They're falling all over themselves, saying this race is over.
It's not over.
Yes, Nikki, it's over.
Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation.
All right, fellas, you're right. She seems absolutely just beside herself and giddy.
Yeah.
So,
and the news will again, like I said, the news will push this narrative out. Again, the headline: Trump wins New Hampshire, but then the video that they're going to be posting is going to be of Haley, and because it's going to follow the Rachel Maddow playbook. We can't show us Trump because we don't want to show hate, so we'll censor that. But we're going to let Nikki Haley say what she wants to say. It's insane.
Right. They lie all the time about everything.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm seeing right here, according to Citizen Free Press, 70% of Nikki Haley voters in New Hampshire were not registered Republicans. So majority of her vote.
Reuben, Christian, have you got a link for that?
Throw it private.
That's funny.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, 70%.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah. I mean, I have a lot I could say. This is
Congrats, Nikki. Congrats.
I don't see any of this as legitimate. I don't see any of this as I don't take any of this seriously, in all honesty.
No,
it's entertainment.
No, it's sheer entertainment. There's nothing substantive. The Republican
Party, but the mainstream media, the corrupt mainstream media, the military media industrial complex is going to push this as a win for Haley. It's
only people who have not woken up are going to fall for it, and my suspicion is that's not even most people who are aware. That's people who have a political interest in ensuring that Trump doesn't win again, which tends to people on the left. So I think this is an entire dog and pony show. American politics, as I said in a video a few days ago, it happens in eras and cycles.
At the numbers among.
Go ahead.
And in our current era, in our current cycle, the kind of politics that and I'm going to be frank, Ron DeSantis represented, the kind of politics that Nikki Haley represents, that kind of politics just isn't feasible in this current era, because that kind of politics presumes a lot of things that both the electorate and the new emerging intellectual class of America First have fundamentally rejected. And so I just don't see a pathway forward. Forget the election, for Haley's kind of thinking in conservative politics in the next few decades. It just isn't there anymore. And the fact that they're trying to astroturf it to come back to life is just absolutely despicable. It's not going to work. And I hope that when her campaign inevitably dies, it coincides with the death of the legitimacy of the corporate media, who force this kind of stuff upon me and make me have to rack my brain over how anyone who actually knows what's going on can be tricked by this vapid nonsense. This is an entire dog and pony show to give people that hate President Trump and some kind of hope that he will somehow fail. We all know, unless barring a incredibly tragic circumstance, or barring even if he's in jail, I still believe he's going to win. So people just need to see the writing on the wall. They need to see what time it is, and they need to stop these feckless challenges.
Trump train.
You think part of that is intentional? Like,
it's totally intentional.
No, I mean, to the extent that, do you think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make their viewers think that there's absolutely no way that Trump can win, so that when he does, they have an excuse to go out and protest and riot?
Yep, manufactured consent. This is what Chomsky was talking about back in the 70s. And what the media does is it tries to create a pretext for their agenda to succeed. Because out of pretext, you can't have it succeed. And so they're trying to lay the groundworks to make Trump seem like an illegitimate president before he's even gotten back into office, so that when he does get back into office, it'd be more easier to try to destabilize whatever he tries to do. That's what all this is about, in all honesty. And not only that, but if you can do that, then you can effectively forget about this election. Let's talk about the midterms next time. You can effectively try to deliver change in that way as well, and try to change the constitution of Congress as well. So it's all about manufactured consent. This is totally what this is about.
Well, you touched on something when you were talking too about the people in the know who won't fall for this. The problem is the people who don't know or don't care. Personally, I think my parents' generation really failed us on what civic duty actually is, because they started getting apathetic about it. It was the revolution of the 60s, peace, love, all this. And really that's when the mainstream media started jacking itself up. And it has become a vapid popularity contest, because it's who's on TV, not who the people actually deserve or want. And it's turned into a big slush bucket of whoever the DNC RNC churns out, and the convenience of, or how easy it is for us to be lazy with our convenience as a general population. I think that's the biggest detriment that we're facing right now, because we should have had personally, I think we should have had a revolution a long time ago. Like, we should have never let the government get to this point ever. That absolutely goes against the core principles of what the country was founded on.
But the thing is that they did it. The revolution was not a revolution. It was a genocide, in my opinion. And I say this because in the 60s, you had the mentality of, let's just, drop out, let's do the hippie thing. And that was one segment of the subculture. Another segment of subculture, the Black Panthers, the Black Liberation groups, they did their duty, but they were trying to save it. So then what did they do? What did the government do? They basically said, okay, let's start the war in Vietnam, and let's send our boys out there to fight and die. Those people that died in Vietnam would have been the leaders today, but the draft dodgers and the people that were in college and in the ivory towers are now in charge. Pelosi, Schumer, all those people. And then they said, okay, let's put a liquor store in the Black neighborhoods. Let's break up the Black family, and let's basically, arrest people for crack and all that stuff that was more expensive than cocaine. So they wanted to destroy the family. And then they were telling people, the social workers were telling people, hey, you don't you kick your husband, kick the boyfriend out or husband out, and just have lots of kids, and then we'll take care of you. So that's when they started to move that shift over, where you have the the welfare queens and all that stuff.
The toughest illegal immigration bill in the country. They know we passed voter ID and tore.
Yes, Haley, I hear you. God.
Sorry about
Ghost
that.
of Nikki Haley
enough of that.
I was trying to listen to something quietly off air while you guys are talking, and apparently it bled right through the mic. So my bad.
No. And let me finish my point real quick. And that's what they did. They systematically destroyed a generation. I'm Generation X, and again, for me, when I moved to when I grew up in South Texas, and South Texas is bluer than any place in the world. It's insane. You're either a Democrat or you're nothing else. And I was ostracized. I was ostracized because I said I'm not a Mexican. I don't speak Spanish. I refuse to speak Spanish because everyone spoke Spanish. Everybody. And it was insane. And you're a traitor to your race. They were saying all these bad things to me growing up. I said, no, I'm doing this. And then I moved to Chicago. It's just as bad, but I tried to live my own life. I didn't register as anything because I have no affiliation. I want to be left alone. That's my whole thing. I want to be left alone. I want to have a good life. And of course, that's how I followed it. And then even I couldn't vote for Trump the first time because I was terrified because I wanted a conservative. I wanted somebody it felt it was the same old thing over and over again. I've always voted against somebody. I voted for Perot twice, like I said before, but now I saw what they did to Trump in 2016. And then how he performed and what he's trying to do. And he's learned his lesson. Because again, we have to remember that in 2016, the Obama administration was spying on Trump. They were actively undermining him then. And then they were doing it while he was president. And they were doing it again. And no one's talking about this. This is insane. They're doing this. The FISA courts, all this stuff. But it's all part of the plan. 9/11, they did that. The Iraqi war, all this other stuff. It's all oil, this and that. And now we are again. We look at what's going on. We had the SEALs that's got killed. We had the Houthis going on, doing his stuff. We had what they're doing in Israel. They just want to destroy good people. They're going after the Israelis, and then you see what they're doing now. It's insane. They want everybody to be fighting against each other, and they basically want you to get to a point where they want the majority of people to basically say, "We need your help," and it's no. They're not going to help. They are causing this, and they have the solution. They did this with drugs. They did this with the jab. They did it with everything. They produce the chaos, and they have the solution. It is insane. It's worse than a Bond villain, and the Bond villain's son, Alex Zoris, what he did the last few days with that gunshot and the $47, that is treason. And what happened yesterday with the SCOTUS and what they did about saying that no razor wire and take it down, that is insane too. This whole situation, it's corrupt, it's bought off, and we have to stand up. And MAGA, just for the chat, MAGA is not about Trump. It's not. MAGA is about making America great again, and I want to make America great again. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids. I'm going to raise good American kids. I'm going to do my part for my future wife, my future family, and I'm going to do best thing, because again, that's what we do. We win by being good Americans, good citizens, and love each other. I don't care where you're from. I will love you for who you are. And if you let me be, I will love you too. And that's what we have to do. That's why I love these guys. I love all you guys. You're all good American people. And I love you all. They're really good people. And I love everybody in chat. Especially
well, there you go. And if you are just popping in and joining us, My name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. I'm joined by Reuben, by Christian Watson, Cam from Flagrant Triggers, Chad Manley, Brent from the Dangerous Rhetoric Podcast. We're watching the numbers come in on the New Hampshire primary. And and we've already had one link already sent in. Thank you, Leah. And I'll go ahead and pop this up here real quick. Even though Nikki might be the star of the night, everybody recognizes the painfully obvious. And that is, yep, we're headed for a rematch. So there you go. Just to go over the numbers real fast as they've coming into the decision desk, I'll start with the Republican stuff. Take a look, and I'll let you, again, I tell you what, this Nikki Haley number is just, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, Christian let it off, the discussion about, open primaries and being able to switch over. Yeah, she's within 10%, 32% of the vote is in, and, and I will, and Christian, I'll thank you again for this. Let me find it real fast here.
Those are Biden voters.
Oh yeah, they're Democrats. 70%. Let me find that again. 70%. Let me find his link. 70% of her vote tonight is coming off of people who's registered day of or in the past few days. They are not registered Republicans. I don't care what anybody says, and that's from CNN's exit own polling. Oh, I agree completely.
Very sus.
Absolutely ridiculous. Now, in the
DNC
meanwhile,
is not going to sit on the sidelines here and just let the numbers come out. You know that they're involved in that. They're probably registering people.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
And speaking of things on the Democrat side, Biden's been declared the winner of the New Hampshire primary.
Well, I was just about to say that headline you showed us said that Biden won the primary for the Democratic Party, and I'm like,
how?
He's third.
Yeah. And like I say, I mean, everybody knows who this write-in vote is for. This was organized on behalf of Biden to keep him from being totally embarrassed by either Dean Phillips or Marianne Williamson, because the Democrats aren't going to take any chances. But the fact that there's 30%, and this has been consistent in the polling all since last year, 30% of Democrats do not want Joe Biden. They absolutely don't want him. And it's showing up tonight. And if it weren't for this write-in campaign, he once again would have been embarrassed in Iowa New Hampshire for the fourth time in his political career. So,
but he didn't even. I don't know. This whole write-in thing. That's insane. Gosh, I don't know. That's insane.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was just so arrogant of the Biden campaign to tell New Hampshire that they had to change their laws. Did they just not realize that New Hampshire has state laws that they can't just, Biden's just do it. This is emblematic of the entire Biden administration. They just go ahead and do whatever they want, despite the law, despite the legal situation.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But it's interesting.
But it didn't work because the New Hampshire primary is still tonight. Then they had to do this last minute write-in campaign. Sorry, I'm talking with food in my mouth, so rude. But they had to do this last minute write-in campaign in order so Biden, wouldn't be embarrassed. So it's like, I think New Hampshire still wins this round because they're not doing a separate Democratic primary in 2 weeks or something.
But it's interesting that Christian brought it up, and the idea, or at least for the lesson, we all need to learn or need to know. The states have priority of what they do with their own elections over the federal government and over whatever a freaking private entity like a Democratic Party or the Republican Party have. They are private entities. They are not gods. It's not the be-all end-all of elections. It's a misnomer to believe that they are. And again, we have to give sovereignty to the nations. It's the United States of America, and we live in a constitutional republic, and you got to drill that in people's heads. I hate this whole we're in a democracy and all this crap. Got to stop saying that shit. Sorry. It's crazy.
They don't even say democracy. They call it our democracy.
Yeah.
Which is really just commie coding for, the weird oligarchical situation we have going on.
Oh, it's so funny. Or sad, I should say.
Well, they lie all the time about everything, and they use words as weapons. They don't actually use them to convey honest meaning.
Yeah. And while we're waiting for more numbers to come in, we did have a question from out in the audience, and I said I would put this one up, and I asked for some context on this. Oh, no. Here's the question. Sorry about that. Gentlemen, do you have any opinion on the idea of proportional representation? And I asked if Hunter was talking about as a voting allocation of electoral votes or in general representation. He said in terms of votes. So, Reuben,
I think it's always been it should be a state. If the state has the majority of the state, should go for the one vote, not proportional. I don't like proportional. It's I know that Kansas and Maine do it. I believe maybe another place does it, but again, no. And then the one thing I don't want is, California was doing the national popular vote. So if basically, let's say that the state went for Trump, but then everything went for Biden, and they were talking about that last time, because they were actually fearful that Biden would win popular, but Trump would win electoral, and that they were saying that electoral's archaic and this and that, and they don't even understand it. They don't know anything. They just can't figure it out. And then you have people still talking about, well, why should Wyoming get more say than New York? And well, then shit, why should what are you talking about? All the policies are crazy, but no, I don't like proportional. It's the state should be, if you win the state, you win the state. You get the whole shit enchilada.
It's Maine and Nebraska that do the proportional.
Nebraska, okay.
Yeah, Maine and Nebraska. Christian, you want?
I mean, I don't have any. I think I agree with Reuben. I don't have any particularly strong feelings about this, except that if you want to talk about the more general category of elections, how they should be run, or how people want to, go towards the abolition of the electoral college and things of that sort. I mean, that's been a movement for a very, very long time, this sort of direct democracy movement. Now, I'll just say this. I think that we actually have too liberal of a voting system in America, and that does not mean that's not because people can write ballots or whatever. That's the kind of low-hanging fruit that conservatives focus on, and I really don't understand why. Okay, yeah, let's go towards single-day voting, but once you've gotten that, you still have a bunch of issues. Yeah. The primary issue is that we culturally believe that you have a right to partake in the political process. You don't. You have no right to vote. In fact, the idea that you have the right to vote is not only an insult to the founders, not only an insult to the proper idea of rights, it's really an insult to the spirit of classical republicanism. Because classical republicanism is literally constituted on a scheme that is meant to balance out the powers of government, provide an internal checking mechanism, and then while doing that, simultaneously safeguard the minority. And the moment you say that voting is a right, you literally compromise the integrity of the system. The minority is now in danger, and there is no more internal functions, because now that means that everyone should just have access to that system. So I think that the more consequential question is that how do we purge the idea that voting is a right in the minds of men versus how do we determine what's allocated in what manner, right? So that's really what I, when I think of elections, that's really what I think of.
Okay.
Christian making an argument to repeal the 19th?
Look, what I think that if we're going to have a healthy political order, some people shouldn't vote. If we're going to have healthy political order, some people shouldn't be in our country. I mean, and I've argued for this. This is a pretty radical idea, but I favor mass deportations, but not just for illegals. I favor mass deportations for American citizens too. If you're a communist and you're an American, I want you to pick out any country in Eastern Europe that you want, or in Asia, particularly China, North Korea, and we will send you on a one-way ticket to one of those countries. You'll be banned forever. If you're a theocrat, I want you to pick out England or whatever other country, we'll send you over there. If you are a socialist, I want you to pick out a country you like, and we'll send you over there. I mean, I think that we're a little bit too liberal with American citizenship as well. I only want ideological purists in my country. I don't want people in my country that are going to destroy my rights. I don't want people in my country that are going to corrupt my political order. I want virtuous people in my country who understand the importance of non-interference, who understand the importance of natural rights, who respect the principle of natural law, who respect the consent of the governed, and who respect. If you can't respect those things, you shouldn't be in our country. So, I mean, I'm pretty radical because I kind of think the Overton window needs to go further towards that, because in small communal societies where you have a certain degree of homogeneity, it's no mistake that you tend to get more harmonious political outcomes versus large heterogeneous societies where there's no commonality between people. And that's a point made by a lot of people that are more traditionalistic. And I personally love color. I love pluralism. I love the different shades of the rainbow. But you have to be connected by something. And right now, our political order is not enforcing that sort of binding mechanism. And our country is going to possibly go extinct for that very reason.
Yeah, I remember the whole idea of the melting pot, that you come here and you assimilate, you learn English, and you assimilate. And the thing, what they're doing now, or they did it before, where you had the Vietnam refugees, people from China that came here, the political refugees that came over, even from Russia, but mainly from Asian countries, and now they came in. What do they have? They came here, they had nothing, but they had a mother and a father, and they worked really hard. They told their kid, you hold the whole tiger mom thing, and then you go to school now. Boom. It's a meme, but that's the whole idea. These kids are now excelling so much that now they're considered white in Berkeley and UCLA, right. And they're being denied because they basically say, oh no, we have to let the people of color in. And you're going, what are you talking about? And when you have Oregon and Washington, I believe was state, saying that, math scores are racist, they're biased. And what are you talking about? Math's math. They don't, there's no thing. What are you going to do? Say that Tyrone has 27 guns and his hoe wants 4? What is it that what you're talking about? I don't understand. It's not, math is math. English is English. Language is language. You have to learn how to communicate. And you have to learn how to assimilate into the society. That's what I did. Or that's not what I did. I just loved it because, again, I grew up in a small town in Texas, and I yearned to go to a big city, and I did. I left, and 97% of the people that I grew up with are still in the same town. They're sitting there.
If you want to talk about assimilation, I mean, this is another hard conversation that a lot of people really need. I think a lot of people don't want to have. I think that I actually give kudos to President Trump for being willing to have it. Not every culture or lifestyle can assimilate into America. Now, this seems obvious, obviously. But what doesn't seem obvious to a lot of people are the implications of that. And this is going to be controversial, and I understand. I'm not trying to be controversial. I'm just trying to be truthful. If you follow a system of belief that relegates women to a second-class citizenship status, that encourages jihad against unbelievers, that encourages people to go and undertake the vengeance of Allah under jihad, and represents God's grace not as some internal substance that we try to get through every single day through hard work, but instead as some kind of reduction to primitive brute force. If you have a worldview that says that your religion needs to be embedded throughout every single aspect of political, social, and cultural life, and there is no separation between any of those things, and this is basically Islam, I'm not entirely sure if you truly follow your beliefs to the letter of what they are, that you can truly assimilate. Now, let me disclaim, a lot of Muslims live in America. A lot of Muslims in America do assimilate, but that is in spite of what their dogma tells them. That is because they're not fully practicing their dogma.
Yes.
So I have no problem with Muslims living in America if they don't practice the full extent of their dogma. Just like I have no problem with a lot of other people that have different beliefs living in America, as long as they don't practice the fullness of their dogma. For example, if you're like a neo-pagan, you worship the old ancient traditions. Okay, well, as long as you don't sacrifice people to whatever God you worship, you can be in America. But the problem is when there is an exhortation in your faith for you to spread around your faith by force, I think that it becomes a matter of civilizational security for extra questions to be asked if you're trying to enter into the country. No, I'm not suggesting that we deport Muslims. I'm not saying anything like that. But I think that President Trump banning travel from countries where there are a lot of terrorists who happen to follow the Islamic faith is not only wise. Europe is showing us that if we don't do that again, we're going to turn into northern France, where they have gang wars. They literally have turf wars in the middle of the street. We're going to turn into London. People are getting stabbed in the neck, or Birmingham, where gay guys are getting lured on apps to get killed by these crazy third worldist jihadists in the name of Allah. No, at some point we have to put our foot down and say, no, we're not going to tolerate certain ideologies. And if you want to spread your ideology by force, I'm not even sure deportation is the right answer for you. I think something else is the right answer for you. I can't say it, otherwise I'll get in trouble. So that's where I'm at. And a few years ago, I was much more libertarian. I was like, oh no, open borders and, immigrants make us better or whatever. Now I'm like, okay, I have a criteria. If you don't follow position X, Y, and Z, don't come to our country. Don't try to come to our country. If you cross our border illegally, there needs to be 5 guns pointed at you, directing you backward. I don't care if you're a family. I don't care anything. You need to go back to where you come from. Otherwise, you don't have a civilization. Yes, we need to have humanity. We need to have compassion. Yes, absolutely. But we don't need to have compassion to the fault of destroying ourselves in the process. That's all I got to say.
No, 100% correct. But again, you had don't forget they had the honor killings that were happening up in Michigan.
Oh, yes. And Michigan, incidentally, Michigan has the highest per capita population of Muslims in the entire country.
And they were trying to downplay that. If you remember, historically, they were doing that. Who was it? It was on Bill Maher was trying to bring that out, and you had Ben Affleck, Sam Harris yelling at him that he was being against Muslims. No, he's reporting what is going on. Is not about, and they want death to America. And Biden left all of the stuff there, all the equipment there. Insane. It's insane what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we did have another question from the audience, and I want to put this out here. Since we're on varying topics tonight as we're watching the numbers come in, and what I'm trying to do is about every 15 minutes, let everybody see any updated numbers that we've got. But I want to throw this one to Cam and to Chad. Question: how do you guys feel about the 16th and 17th Amendments of the Constitution? Should they be repealed? The 16th Amendment is the direct tax on income, and the 17th Amendment is direct election of senators. So, Cam, I'll let you start this one. As a business owner, you probably got something to say about the government taxing income, daggone it.
Yeah.
A lot to say about it.
Well, I mean, it's not just for businesses, though. It's for every citizen. The fact that 25 to 40% of all of your income is taxed before it gets sent to you from your employer, and then once you get it, you have to pay taxes to the government as well. Basically, every dollar you get in pay, that's probably $5 worth of tax that's gone back to the government or some ridiculous number. And then it gets taxed when you buy food, and then it gets taxed, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It's again, the reason I think revolution, as far as tax goes, the government is making so much money off of the citizens who work to make it run, and they keep inflating their salaries, and they do all this bureaucratic red tape. They got to have 100 people to approve one thing for this power plant here, and it's just a complete waste of resources. And to me, I don't, call me crazy, but I don't think that a politician running in a position of power should make more than the median income for their state.
I don't know.
Why is Nancy Pelosi a multimillionaire? She started, from what I've seen, it was basically just a nepotism job for her anyway. It was kind of handed to her. But how many people in Congress are like that? They come in with nothing, and then they write some laws. The laws don't affect them at all. They affect the people who they rule over, which is pretty much what it's come down to. You see that more and more laws are coming out that do affect the regular everyday citizens, and it stresses them more and puts more pressure on them. They're taking it away from criminals. So you get taxed more, you lose more money. Criminals can steal from you, cheat, lie, whatever to get money. Nothing happens to them. They just get turned back out on the street. Yeah, and I'm going to touch on Christian stuff a little bit because about the voting. Yeah, I'm totally against the 19th Amendment for one particular reason. You should not be allowed to vote if you vote on emotion only. If you can't have that logical forethought to look into your candidates, see what's going on locally, and pay attention to the surroundings around you, and put someone in a position who, they might not look the best, they might not have, might not be the smartest, but what did they do? What did they vote for? Did they vote the way you like them to vote? Do they believe what you actually believe and actually come through with it? Or do they look good? Do they get on TV? Do they get to talk to Taylor Swift and get to hang out with some rock band that you like? Like, it's ridiculous. 100%, everyone should lose their voting right until they can pass the civics test, some kind of basic civics test for the union, period.
Hang on, before anybody says anything, Basil, if you're out there watching this, you got to convert to the repeal the 19th Amendment movement, okay? Just saying,
Basil's a big fan of repealing the 19th.
Cam, yeah, Basil is a good buddy of Brent and Chad's and a whole bunch of other people and he is like on an absolute kick.
He's a faggot, just so y'all get that.
Not no. Anyway, well, yeah, but no, I mean, seriously though, I have no problem whatsoever with the idea that, I'm like you guys. I am sick and tired of the whole, I want everybody to vote. No, I don't want everybody to vote. I want people to vote who actually will take the time to be invested enough to find out what's going on, to at least try to inform themselves to some level, and then from there go out and vote. This whole idea of, let's get everybody to go vote. It's democracy. We got to participate. No,
put it back to property ownership.
I got no problem with that.
Yeah, but then it'd just be BlackRock and Vanguard voting.
Well, so then you have to make property ownership more accessible, and you have to make massive holdings of land like BlackRock and China. You have to do a whole bunch of stuff, but that would all require a constitutional amendment anyway.
Yeah, I'm not. And plus, I mean, if you consider the fact that a lot of people today rent and stuff like that, and only have like a certain amount of assets. No,
it would fundamentally alter the economy.
No, if we're going to restrict the privilege, it's not a right. If the privilege of voting,
exactly.
Yeah, it's not a right. The privilege, then it should be done on criteria that I think is reasonable and not overly burdensome, but still prohibitive enough to keep out certain people whose minds wouldn't be quite right for the process. So I'm not entirely sure property ownership is going to be a good standard. There are a lot of people that own property who, because they own property, some own it illicitly or some own it legally, have certain perverse interests. The mafia owns a lot of property. They have, I'm not going to say it's perverse. I don't want to get targeted, but they have certain interests that they're going to vote for by virtue of them owning property. So I don't think property ownership enough makes you a virtuous mind. And this is one of the things that I want to see conservatives take this on, because right now there is a growing faction within conservatism called the post-liberals that want to impose their own version of community-centered morality upon the rest of people. It sometimes takes a religious form, other times it takes a secular form. But regardless of what form it takes, it's a rejection of our founding. But the post-liberals, despite being wrong, have a point on one thing, and that one thing is this, that as a society, there is a massive moral vacuum that vice has happened to fill over the past few decades. Now, where I differ is they blame it on classical liberalism. I do not. That's actually not the case. I blame it instead on external forces that oppose classical liberalism, that have sought to hijack the culture by introducing certain concepts that have corrupted the minds of people. But in either case, I don't care who you blame it on, the defense is the same. How do you defend a culture from that? You have to have a culture where people are motivated towards virtuous concepts. How do you do that? Not through government, but you do it by setting standards in society, standards that are not just burdensome and puritanical, right? This is another thing. Right? The Puritans had all kinds of standards, but the problem was they themselves couldn't live up to them most of the time because they were just a little bit too haughty. Standards that inspire something within the heart and minds of men. We need cultural symbols that inspire us. We need cultural symbols that help us aspire to something higher. We need cultural symbols that invoke beauty. What is beauty? Beauty is simply the proper ordering of something in accordance to its natural form. Okay, well, we need beauty because beauty brings us something in the human spirit. Not just beauty in terms of physical attraction, but beauty in terms of what we see in the world, what we deduce from certain social events. But when you're in a world of plastic, where one of the most advanced in the modern age cities is considered to be Dubai, which is just plastic and artificial, and there's nothing there that's not manufactured. What's your standard for beauty? When Victoria's Secret for women is considered to be the standard, what's your standard of beauty? I mean, what's your standard of something that's going to inspire us? You don't have one. So if you don't have something like that, then you can't have a good political order. So I think that we need to literally have a portion of the conservative movement focused on cultivating symbols that we can look up to, not just shows we can watch and laugh at the wokies, because that's not beauty. That's just short-term wins. Something sustaining, something that's going to literally embolden our hearts with a fire that's going to get us to push our political order towards a better state. I'm not seeing that right now. I'm seeing the exact opposite. I won't rant on this anymore, but this is just one thing. If you want to win, you want to really win, then you really need to do this. People need to figure this out. I don't even know where to start because I don't have all the answers, but I'm just noticing this. So yeah.
I'm going to throw it back over to Cam because he wanted to make one more point on the 17th Amendment, and then due to parental duty, which is more important than political discussion, he is going to have to slide out the side door. So go ahead, Cam.
Well, as far as the 17th with the fine, you want your senators, fine, but this is something I think should be tied into the voting system for states whenever it comes to your congressmen, your senators, and your president, and who wins the electoral college votes. I think states should go to an electoral college system where the counties each hold value, because every state is actually red except for the city center counties. And if you were to do that, it would completely change the political landscape overnight. People would, and to make sure that those city centers can't just hold all the power if they all group up, put diminishing returns on it, where just because you have a way higher population doesn't mean you get more voting power for the bloc. But even then, I still think every state would absolutely be red, and there would never be a Democrat president or national representative for quite a while. And that's one thing I think that would be the easiest way to alleviate a lot of the issues that are happening now, instead of having to completely revamp the system or do something drastic or have a bloody revolution or whatever we could do to change everything. That, to me, that would be the simplest and most effective way to really make a political change. But getting it to go through is a completely different story.
Absolutely. So before you slip out of here, my man, give everybody your social media, tell them where they can find you. And you have a business that is absolutely awesome. If you are in need of either buying some t-shirts for yourself, buying them for friends, or designing something really cool, get a hold of this man. My friend, tell them where they can find you on social media and tell them just a little bit about Flagrant Triggers.
You can find me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. It's a Flagrant Trigger. We can't get triggers, but everywhere else is Flagrant Triggers. And the website, it's been a little slow since the restart, but I think it's just because we just got to get to work on it again this year and get the name back out there and get to work with some creators. But locals going all right. But yeah, we make merch. We got mugs. We basically, if there's something that can withstand 300 degrees, we can put it on it.
Yeah, Brian, put it in the chat. The your Shopify website. Put it in the chat so people can see it.
Yeah, and
I put a link in there. It
is 100% free speech. I do not care what you put on there, as long as you are not intentionally trying to hurt a population, person, or group. Basically, don't be a pain in the neck, and you can put whatever you want on there. I really don't care. And
Cam does very high quality merchandise, before, because he had a trouble with the main producer
Yeah,
before?
the old producer we had, they gave me crap about parody stuff because they were worried about copyright and all this, and it's like, you're ridiculous because you don't actually understand parody law. Like, obviously you can't do a 1-to-1 remake of something, but parody,
Right.
that's no issue. But then they just stopped fulfilling orders because they said they wanted to help small businesses, but turned out not so much. So we have our own machine now, so we're doing all the work myself. Crash, me and Crash are the ones who got it though, and yeah, we're
Yeah, you invested a very, very high amount of money in
Yeah.
doing this stuff. It's insane. I just want to. I'm sorry to speaking for you, but what they're doing is that it's an American made company by Americans doing out of the garage, basically. It's a garage, and they're doing this because they believe in their products, and they had great products that were coming out. And then they had this, this person, the company was afraid, but again, no, don't be afraid. Follow the link. Look at the merchandise. They can do anything. What you can do things for them too, right? You can do something special, like their own type of merchandise too, right?
Yeah, we can do any kind of design. What I need to do is add a custom design link on the website where people can just submit what they want, and then we can just make it for them, because that would probably open up some access to new avenues too. But yeah, one thing I want to do is I want to help smaller creators who don't want to go, or who's Shopify, or not Shopify, but like Teespring, TeePublic, they're Nazis in the most communist sense of the word, because they will absolutely limit your speech, what you can put on it. And that's actually why I started, because Chrissy wanted her Rootin' for Putin shirt made, and they took it down, wouldn't let her have it. So started up because of that, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, we just gotta rebuild it from where we had to shut down for a little bit because of the old production place.
Cool. Well, sir, thank you for stopping by tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here, and we're going to be doing more stuff like this throughout the year, so we'd be glad to have you back anytime you want to come on and you've got the availability to do it.
Oh, yeah. No, thanks for the invite. And Christian, I am a fan, my man. You
Well, thank you. You're nice.
You absolutely preach, dude. And
thank you. You're nice.
That is the spirit we needed. That's absolutely the spirit we need. But
you're nice.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Have a good night. All right. Well, as he's stepping out, I'm going to go ahead and throw some numbers up here. My name's Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. We're joined by Reuben Christopher Haynes, Christian Watson, Chad Manley, and Brent from the Dangerous Rhetoric Podcast. Watching the New Hampshire numbers come in, it's about 40% on the Republican side. Trump was already declared the winner shortly after 8 o'clock, and more of the votes coming in. Now, if you saw the polling leading into this, and I'm going to pop this up here real fast, it was predicting like anywhere from like a 18 to 22, 23 point blowout. Well, you go back to the actual number of vote coming in, it might wind up getting there, but it is quite obvious something has happened on behalf of Nikki Haley. And as Christian caught on to it real fast, this is from CNN's own polling, folks. Registered undeclared for Nikki Haley was 70%. Registered Republicans is 25%. And the number is just about flipped the opposite for Trump.
They're Biden voters.
Yep.
You know what else is interesting about that poll that you just had up was that it looks like DeSantis' support actually went over to Haley when he suspended his campaign, which is kind of weird. I know that he wasn't really focusing in New Hampshire, so it could be that. But typically, I had been under the impression that most of DeSantis' supporters would defer to Trump after he dropped out. And it seems like, at least in New Hampshire, those were people who just really didn't want to vote for Trump. And so when DeSantis drops out, they just went to the other non-Trump Republican.
Oh yeah. And like I say, now that's on the Republican side. Go a little further down to the Democrat. I mean, Biden's been declared the winner of the New Hampshire primary without ever being on the ballot or running officially, only because, and like I say, this is the part that blows the mind. If it weren't for a write-in campaign organized at the very last 11th hour on his behalf, he'd be running neck and neck with a 2-term congressman from Minnesota and Dean Phillips. And it just goes back to something that's been going on in polling ever since all March or February of last year. There's 30% of the Democratic Party that does not want Joe Biden to run for re-election, much like Lyndon Baines Johnson in the Vietnam War, etc. Down through the years. This sort of thing has happened before. So we're watching numbers come in. We're glad you're all here with us. We're on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter. If you have links from the mainstream media out there of people who are commenting, MSNBC, CNN, etc., throw them in chat. We'll put them up here, and more than likely we'll skewer them for their idiocy. But you never know. We might find one that's actually thoughtful. But we're equal opportunity here. We'll make fun of everybody. So, fellas, if ever there's a reason to get rid of an open primary, this is it. I'm sorry. I mean, we've all been talking about it all night long. If you're going to have a political party, there's privileges and responsibilities that come along with it, and exclusivity, if I may be so bold as to say. And here's the reason why. Because this ought to be a function of party members. Instead, the Democrats are crossing over on Nikki Haley's behalf, and probably at the behest of people in national DNC politics, just to muck around with the Republican primary. That's just all. I'm sorry. There's no other way to call it.
Well, look again at the total vote counts for both the Republican and the Democratic primary, because it was like 135,000 for the Republicans and 47,000 for the Democrats. Yeah. So you're telling me, like, if that's the case, then like New Hampshire should be voting consistently red every election. If there are twice as many Republicans as there are Democrats, almost 3 times.
Yeah.
Well, and there was a time when New Hampshire was a reliably Republican state, but many people will argue that there's been an influx of folks moving from Massachusetts down there on the southwestern part of the state up into the southeastern part of New Hampshire. And it's just, I mean, I remember even back in the days of George W. Bush, it was an absolute fight for New Hampshire. Even though his family was from Maine, even though the Bush family was well known in New England, and it was just, for going on 20 years. And this is something about the Democrats that most people don't think about or realize. They will invest in trying to slowly win over the vote of a state. They really will. I mean, kind of goes to something that I've said about the difference between Democrats and Republicans generally. Republicans view politics as a cause. Democrats view it as a business.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm getting at is Republicans think, okay, there's nothing wrong with the institutions. Everything's fine. We just have these, barbarians at the gate that are trying to take down our splendid civilization, yada, yada, yada. And we need to come to the ramparts and defend what's already been built. We don't have to worry about it because the foundations are solid. Okay. And then when the barbarians are repelled from the gate, we'll just go back to living our lives quietly and everything goes back to normal. Democrats don't view politics like that. They view it as a business. They view it as investment short and long term. Yes. The ultimate measure of the success of their political business is the acquisition of power. And if they have to invest short term and long term, they'll do it. That's why you'll see whenever they get their hands on one or more houses of the Congress, okay, they'll move a big agenda item. Obamacare being the best example. They knew it would cost them their majority. But to get it in place, they risked everything, including losing control of the House of Representatives, just to make sure they could put a big-time agenda item. Why? Because it moves the ball down the field. And it just amazes me. And Republicans wonder why Democrats are so good at electoral politics, because they work at it. Because they work at vote gathering, they work at ballot harvesting, they work at all these things, and like I said, they invest in their business. And if it takes them 3 or 4 or 5 election cycles to turn a state, fine. Doesn't matter to them. They'll do it. Does not matter.
You'll link.
Reuben put a link in the chat where apparently a Nikki Haley voter acknowledged that he's going to be voting for Biden in the general.
Oh, hang on. I'm gonna put this up here. Hang on, fellas.
Told you.
Just
called that one.
Got him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on. Oh my god.
Haley, because it's kind of funny that Haley is trending right now. Because again, that's what's going on.
That's the narrative. That's
right,
what's
because
going to happen here.
Money that the Koch brothers spent has farmers in East Asia in a basement retweeting, Haley stuff right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, hang on. We're going to run this real fast. It's a 27-second clip. Let's play this right now.
Nikki Haley.
And why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
It's a vote against Trump. I think it would be better to have her against Biden in the elections than it would be Trump and her.
Do you consider yourself generally independent, Republican, or Democrat?
Democrat.
So when you undeclared, you voted for Nikki Haley. If it was Nikki Haley against Joe Biden in the general election, who are you voting for?
Joe Biden.
What?
There you go. There you go. So,
it's a primary.
All you brilliant Republicans out there, take a look. This is
it's a primary. Get. A primary means you're voting for your candidate that you choose for your party. And the fact that he said that is fraud, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
But legal fraud, New Hampshire is letting this happen. And I tell you what, I'm going to, Chris Sununu. So this sort of begs the question.
Sununu. God damn it.
Oh, he's a piece of garbage.
Yes.
But here's the part that gets me. So the normal person out there who's watching this live stream with us, and God bless all y'all on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter, everybody out there is thinking, well, how come they're letting this happen? Why didn't New Hampshire, change their law to have a closed primary like many other states? Well, here's my personal theory on it for what it's worth. 2 reasons. Number one is the general laziness of politicians, regardless of whichever party they belong to. But number 2, I'm sorry, and you will never convince me otherwise, Chris Sununu had a gut feeling that Donald Trump was coming back. He left the law as it is. He did not push the New Hampshire legislature to change it to a closed primary because he wanted this. On the off chance Donald Trump was coming back for a third go-round, he was setting it up so that if it happened, this could be done to monkey up the works. Now, people can call me a conspiracy theorist if they want to, but look at the results. It speaks for itself.
And the evidence. It's not a question. And the evidence, because basically you had the poll from CNN, who basically said 70% voted again. And you had the guy that said it right now. It's a primary.
Here.
And it didn't work. She still got slammed.
Yeah, 70% of her vote, according to the CNN's exit polls on election night, are registered undeclared.
Even with Democrats voting for Haley, she's still 10 points behind Trump.
Well, and this is the thing, the media is going to be saying oh, this is going to give her a second win, and she's going to carry this momentum into South Carolina.
They lie all the time.
I'm going to say first of all, the idea of political momentum when it comes to the election cycle seems really weird to me. It seems like complete BS, but somehow it does kind of exist, and I don't understand that. I'm here in Nebraska. I'm not going to change my vote based on how a candidate did in another state over. That's just not.
It's about control of the Overton window and what people believe is possible. If you can manipulate what you think is what other people think is possible, then you can control narratives very well, because they just adjust things here and there. Now they're trying to make it, they're proffering the false reality, the lie that Nikki Haley presents some sort of actual challenge to Donald Trump, when she doesn't. And any, evidence that they cite is contrived and fabricated and, misdirection, smoke and mirrors.
Hey fellas, I'm gonna go widescreen by myself for just 1 second because I want to show our viewers something. I want to do this real fast. Okay, so give me 1 second. I'll bring you guys right back in.
Go for it.
Okay, all right. Remember what we said a minute ago that according to CNN's numbers, that 70% of Nikki Haley's vote is registered undeclared, right? Okay, I want to run something for you. According to Decision Desk right now, she's got 63,319 votes. Okay. You take 70% of that. Let me put this up here. 44,000 of her vote is coming from Democrats. Democrats are independents. Okay. So let's just run this out to its full extent. If you take away independents and Democrats and just talking pure Republican vote, this is what she's got. That's it. Among the Republican Party. Just think about that for a minute. You want to know how much the Democrats are interfering with this? That'll give you an idea.
Yeah.
Give you a real good idea.
Yeah, and again, it's about controlling the Overton window, what we consider reasonable, what we consider credible. Now they're trying to conjure the obvious falsehood that Nikki Haley represents some sort of credible challenge to Donald Trump, and it's just not there. Even with their fake numbers, he's still 10 points ahead. You take away the fake numbers, and he's 40 points ahead? Like, come on. I mean,
in any other situation, you would be we wouldn't even be having a conversation about Nikki Haley, possibly catching up. You'd be like, Trump walked away with it.
Yeah.
But because she got 20% in Iowa or something like that, and now she has 40%, they're gonna be like, oh my God, she's getting, she got so much momentum. Another thing that I just noticed, Brian, if you take let's say 40,000 who voted for Haley and were Democrats, and you add them.
Let me clear Democrats and independents, because unaffiliated, unregistered is what they call it in New Hampshire. So it could be genuine independents. They don't have an affiliation, but it's quite obvious what's going on here. A significant number of Democrats are switching over, and they're like, "Yep, we'll get into this. We'll get into this."
And
but if you take 40,000 votes from Nikki Haley, and you just switch them over to the Democratic primary, okay, then you go from you would have about 95,000 voters in the Republican primary, and about 85,000 voters in the Democratic primary. And you would expect there to be fewer Democratic voters because there's an incumbent president. So there's not a contest over who's going to get that nomination. But the point still stands that if you shift those voters over, all of a sudden it looks like a lot more even participation across party lines.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I just sent something. Another damning clip of obvious election interference in the fullest sense of the word.
Oh, God, here we go again. More crap.
Hang on. I will, by all means, throw this up here. Give me 1 second. Oh, you gotta love it, I tell you.
Such a fun ride. Thanks so much for hosting, Brian.
Oh, you know me. I'm always good for a party.
Fabulous conversation.
Hang on 1 second. I'm just about there, fellas.
I like Mr. Watson's new "Let's deport everyone who doesn't espouse American values." Get them out.
It's not so new. It's not so new. I've been sitting on that position for a while. So
I just haven't heard it. It's the first time I've heard somebody be like, "Let's kick them out." Like, they don't have our values. They want to, they want to be socialists. Great, go pick a socialist country. We'll pay for your ticket. Bye. Your American citizenship is revoked.
All right, fellas. Let's see what has been come up with here.
Christian, who did you vote for and why? Yeah, so thank you. I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. I think the DNC is fairly resolute in their nomination for Joe Biden. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, particularly on our differences with climate change solution, a women's right to bodily autonomy, or incarceration rates, I think a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence in the RNC and their nomination, but is also a vote towards democracy.
And Christian is emblematic of so many conversations that I've had here throughout the day.
You mean so many frauds?
Alex, Christian, thank you very much.
They're not even hiding it. Like,
no, that's just. Oh,
you saw the smile on Rachel Maddow's face. I mean,
she's thrilled.
These people are absolutely okay gaming the system to get their end. It's
ghoulish.
Wow.
I'm gonna get kicked on Twitter again. I'm gonna call her. Well, never mind.
Okay, just
see you next Tuesday.
Just looking at participation in the 2020 New Hampshire primary.
Okay.
So Trump was the Republican incumbent. So again, like not really a competition. There were 100 and how many total? 129. So 143,000 Republicans voted in the Republican 2020 New Hampshire.
That's an incumbent year.
And do you know how many Democrats voted that year?
How many?
300,000.
Whoa.
So the Democrats can't even get, even if we assume that all 40,000 of those weird voters who voted for Haley were Democrats.
Okay.
The Democrats couldn't even get the same turnout that Trump had when he was incumbent for their incumbent president. Not even close.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's no popular support for Joe Biden. He's just the worst. Like the worst president in recent memory, across the board, the economy, the border, China, Ukraine, Israel, like pick an issue. And Biden is just failing horribly. Like he's got no successes except for, you can probably count the fact that he got some student loans, negated
that
for some people. Violated the
law and spent taxpayer money without when he didn't have the authorization to.
I said, that's like his success.
and got stayed, and not a single loan has been forgiven unless it's been the public service loans, which is something entirely separate. So not even that's a victory.
Yeah, across the board, he's in trouble. He's in big trouble, which is why they have to engage in the lawfare shenanigans, which is why they have to do these dirty party games, like having Democrats go and vote in the Republican primary to prop up a foil, a fake candidate who's obviously, a representative of the establishment and not the new, MAGA conservatism.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Based up in Haya and I were talking about this. She's of the opinion that Biden's not going to be the nominee. And I said, there's a high likelihood that Biden won't be the nominee. It'll probably be Michelle Obama. She thinks that it'll be that since you have a businessman, they need a businessman. And I told her, they did who is it? Howard Schultz. They had a bunch of other business people, like they were touting up Bill Gates for a while, or Fauci and all that bullshit that before all this crap is going on. But she basically says Bezos may be something, and I say it very unlikely. I think that they're but I think they wouldn't do that. But I did throw out the dark horse aspect of it, and this is why 2024 may be very, very interesting. Because what are the chances of them, like a Romney, Mitt Romney, and Lynn Cheney, doing something nefarious, crossing over, or something like that? Some rhino doing it, saying they're going to step in, because Gavin Newsom, I don't think is electable. But if they basically say someone says I have to leave the party and I decide I'm running for president, and has a elder statesman thing, and what do you think about that? Do you think there's any possibility that something as wild as that would happen?
Oh, I'm fully expecting Biden to fall out.
I don't think they would do that. I think they would still choose within their own party. I think they would probably just go with Gavin Newsom. And before you say he's not electable, I mean, their bench ain't deep. So they got slim pickings over there.
I know.
And that is one thing that I've thought about. And I know it's like
they also cheat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. They do that.
Really far into the
Surely,
time.
Brent. Surely you jest.
Regardless of whether or not Joe Biden wins in November, they're going to have to choose somebody else to run in 2028. Who are they supposed to choose? Like, who is the great Democratic governor or senator where you like seriously see that person having a shot at the presidency? And, you know, in 4 years, maybe someone new could crop up. You know, Obama was in the Senate for about 5 minutes before he ran for president. But I don't know who they would pick.
Yeah, there is no Vivek on the Democratic side, someone waiting in the wings to take up the mantle. You know, there's no where is the young blood? It's not AOC. My God,
well,
no.
Kamala Harris is waiting in the wings to take up the mantle, but I don't think she's going to get it.
No.
Kamala Harris may be the most eminently corrupt and stupidest politician walking around in America today. I don't. No, I will say that flat out. That woman is, you know, if y'all, I mean, I know you guys, you know, follow my channel and watch to one varying degree or another, but y'all know me. I'm prone to give people nicknames. And my nickname for her is very simple. Vice President Idaho. And yeah, Idaho. And believe me, she lives up to that name in more ways than one. Trust me.
That's an insult to the state of Idaho.
Well, you know,
William's little like side piece a while back in the day. God.
Well, I mean, Willie Brown, the former mayor of San Francisco, the former Democrat Speaker of the House of California, will freely admit, you know, that he and Kamala back in the day were having an affair. You know,
no,
absolutely true.
Wait, Brent, how are you just learning about this?
I don't know. There's a lot of information out there. I don't get it all.
You guys don't know about this? Yeah, Willie Brown, legendary politician in the state of California.
She was on Willie's Willie Brown.
Yeah,
wow.
Legendary politician in the state of California, former mayor of San Francisco, former Speaker of the House for the Democrat Party, or for the Democrats, freely admits that back in the day that he and Kamala Harris were having an affair. He even goes further to say he got her started in politics out in Oakland.
Sex leftics. Shout out Basil.
Yeah. After she stood up from her off her knees, thank God that I don't think the American people have. On occasion, we, the people of the United States, have been prone to make very bad electoral decisions, but I don't think we're so bad off that we'd ever put that woman anywhere near the Oval Office in terms of being the president. Yeah, and she incarcerated so many people in California for drug possession
and laughed about it.
Yes, and it's insane.
I love when Tulsi Gabbard totally excoriated her on stage.
Oh yeah.
Ended her presidential ambitions.
Yeah.
It was so glorious.
Now, what do you think? Now that you brought that up, Brentley, what do you think about Tulsi Gabbard for a Trump administration?
Oh, I would love to see Tulsi as the VP pick, and I think she would be a very appropriate female candidate.
She's very smart, very intelligent. My opinion.
Trump is famously doing poorly with women. I think in past cycles he's gotten something like 40% support, 60% against him. So by picking a woman, it would substantially, just on the optics, it would improve his campaign chances with most, female voters who do, again, tend to vote on an emotional, appearance decision. That's why character assassination is very effective in Trump's case. They go after his reputation.
Yeah, I said administration because I do think she's a better fit theoretically for Secretary of State.
Sec State, that'd be great. I would love to see her as Sec State, Sec Defense. I mean, she's got
I would still think Vivek for VP would be a shoo-in, and basically then once Trump is gone, then he gets in, and you know, because again, she's good, but she has some Second Amendment issues and all that stuff. But again, still, she's a very
history with the WEF.
Yeah, she's very she's a very competent woman, she was excoriated.
Gents, Trump is giving some remarks right now on stage. You want to throw to him?
Yeah. Hopefully he's shredding Nikki Haley.
Well, bird brain. Hope. Yeah, we can only hope. Hang on, let me see what I can do here. Vamp for a second, fellas. I got to do something here real fast.
She's gonna be so happy. It's gonna be really funny to watch him shred her. But she's just I can't believe she's so satisfied with herself.
Yeah, again, he is going to bring up the whole idea of the open primary, and he has to. Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what his base needs to hear.
That's already
Let me see what else is trending online.
People saying that they're Democrats and they're voting for Joe Biden, but they voted for Nikki.
Right.
Now.
Okay.
And they always say, "Oh, he didn't build hundreds of miles," because if there's a board laying on the ground, they say that's a renovation. They call it a renovation. If there's 2 nails laying from 50 years ago, they say, "Oh, that was a renovation." These are very dishonest people, and you're always fighting them. And just a little note to Nikki: she's not going to win. She's not going to win. But if she did, she would be under investigation by those people in 15 minutes. And I could tell you 5 reasons why already.
Uh-oh.
Not big reasons. A little stuff that she doesn't want to talk about. But she will be under investigation within minutes. And so would Ron have been. But he decided to get out. Now, Vivek, I don't think would be at all because he's perfect, right? And Tim Scott, I know would never. That's no chance. Hey, Tim, do you want to say something? Come on. I want him to say something.
New Hampshire. The president said a double-digit win in New Hampshire, and you delivered a double-digit win for President Trump. But I'm going to invite you to my home state starting tomorrow, where this election is over. It is time for the Republican Party to coalesce around our nominee and the next president of the United States, Donald Trump. Let's get that party started tonight.
What a good guy. What a good man he is. But just remember, I did hear Nikki say, and now it's off to South Carolina. Well, I love South Carolina. I love it. But, she forgot one thing. Next week, it's Nevada. It's not South Carolina. We love South Carolina, but next week it's Nevada. And I'm pleased to announce we just won Nevada. We just won 100%. Because all of them, they looked at it and they took polls, and I was polling at 95% to 4 or 5%. And they decided not to play in Nevada. So we just won Nevada. We have a man from Nevada here, Steve Wynn, wherever he may be. And John Paulson, the great John Paulson, made plenty of money in Nevada. Doesn't live there, but he makes a hell of a lot of money. He makes money everywhere he goes, actually. So Money Machine, well, maybe we'll put you know what? Put him at Treasury. You want to make a little money? Let's put you. Anyways, good to have you guys. But we go to Nevada, and that's been won. So we pick up all of those delegates. And then we do go to South Carolina, where we've done really well, where I've done well. We have a great governor and lieutenant governor and great everything, because almost every one of them have endorsed me. 2 great senators, which is hard. I mean, did you ever think
fellas,
that
I'm going to go ahead and bring you
she
guys
actually
back
appointed
in.
you, Tim? And think of it. Appointed, and you're the
there's
senator
something
of
that's
his
being
state,
brought up
and
here that is not
she
really being
endorsed
talked
me.
about at this point.
You must-
So let me go ahead and take this off screen. Trump's in a pretty good mood, and understandably so. Yes, he's won New Hampshire. He's won it by a double-digit margin, but he brought up something that I was trying to find a way to segue into it, and it's this. For all the frustration that all of us watching this tonight feel. And it's not, I mean, look, person can
No
be for
frustration
Trump.
for me. None.
Person can be for Trump, against Trump, neutral on Trump, for Haley. I mean, I'm all for the idea of, I will have a conversation with anybody. I'll invite anyone onto this channel that I so very well choose, and I don't care if we're of differing political philosophy, so long as everyone's civil to each other and we can engage in a conversation like adult people. Yeah, let's talk. My frustration with all this is this should have been a closed primary with the understanding that, okay, I would even allow for independents to be able to vote in a Republican primary if provided that you hadn't switched your registration 6 months prior to the day of the election. Okay? In other words, if 6 months prior, you decided to go from being a Democrat to an independent, which would have put it back in the summer, okay, I could maybe handle that. But what's been done tonight's pretty blatant. Okay? Now, the point, however, for all the frustration is this, and I'm going to bring these two up on the screen. Trump is absolutely right. The next thing up on the calendar is the Nevada caucus. And I'm going to blow this up a little bit.
Bring in Cam. He's back.
Oh, he's back? Okay, sorry.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Hey, sorry. I just wanted to pop in. I don't know if you've covered this or not, but something major broke tonight. There's a audio recording that Carrie Lake put out of one of the top GOP officials trying to bribe her not to run in the Senate race. And he's also let her know that he can prove that the election was fraudulent.
Damn.
I saw that earlier. Yep.
Now I knew we hadn't talked about it yet, but I'd heard about the audio. But in that audio, he also says he can prove
yes,
that her
he
governor's
says
race was stolen.
We should watch it if we have time.
Oh, absolutely.
Good. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, just wanted to pop it up there. I didn't know if you guys had heard it or
Do you have
not.
a link? Do you have a link or no?
1 sec.
Yeah, throw a link in the private. Yeah. So, Brian, what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, these are the latest numbers out of Nevada.
Holy
and when Trump says he's up by a lot, he ain't kidding. Now, granted, the last set of polls were done at the beginning of January by Emerson, and he had like a 65-point lead. Well, if there's nobody contesting him in the caucus, which apparently is the case, yeah, he'll win every delegate out there. Then you step it down to South Carolina toward the end of February, and Trump's got a 30-point lead on her in her home state. And that, to the best of my knowledge, is a closed primary.
Yeah, and
so where does she go from here?
This is nowhere for her to go. This is her funeral right here. This is, again, if it's not Nevada, which it should be, it's South Carolina. And to top it off, just hit me in the head. Tim Scott could be VP.
I've heard that name floated. I mean, personally, I am on the J.D. Vance for vice president bandwagon, and I will ride that thing until the day Trump makes the announcement.
I know.
And if it's not Vance, I respect that, but I've got good arguments for why it ought to be J.D.
But the thing is,
float people on a list and poll and see what just do it. See what.
Well, he's got.
That would be good.
The thing is that who was up on the stage with him? Vivek and Tim Scott.
Yeah.
No.
And Vivek, that's what's that again. It's all about. It's again Trump. If anything, he knows the optics. He knows they clip him badly, but he has the optics. He has the vision, and that's what he's doing. He's trying to get this new coalition together because he got screwed over in 2016 theoretically by he trusted certain people he should have trusted.
Snakes.
And then 2020 it was it was really in. The fix was really in, and then he got Ronald McDonald in the Republican Party. So it's just like 2016 all over again. He's taking over the party to put it back on track to be an American first party because we're no longer an American first. We're the open borders. All it's crazy, but yeah. And then this proves again. I'm so glad that Elon Musk took Twitter, and now it's X, because now you have this video this audio you're going to share that shows what we already knew, what we already all knew. It's crazy.
Yeah, and before we get too far down the road, I want to thank Leah for giving me the tip off that Trump was speaking. She had sent me a different link. I think it was through CBS News. When I couldn't get it to work, that's why I switched it over to Fox. But again, as I've said, throughout the evening, if you find clips of MSNBC, CNN, stuff that you think's interesting, throw it over to us. We'll put it up here and talk about it. I mean, as I tell people all the time, I'm an equal opportunity offender. I will absolutely, I don't care who it is. And because just some people deserve to get roasted. And I have heard this in the past, Loser, and I get where you're coming from. But and we can agree to disagree. That's perfectly fine. I mean, someday I'll sit down and explain why I'm so heavy on the idea of JD Vance as the Veep, but that's all right. That's for another day. But yeah, I think I've got the link here to the recording.
There's a couple in the private chat.
Yeah, I've got the UK Daily Mail.
There's one. I put the one on X. It's embedded on X.
Okay, hang on. Let me.
It's actually like I retweeted Carrie Lake's upload.
Okay, hang on.
It's like 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, we can. And fellas, stop me at whatever points you. Oh yeah, and she took it off the Daily Mail as well. So
6 minutes.
Yeah, 6 minutes. So I tell you what. I mean, look, we're still waiting for numbers. Yeah, may as well. But let me give a real quick update to everybody as far as numbers before we get into this. Again, the New Hampshire primary has been called on behalf of Trump. He's got a 10-point win at least at this point. There's about half the vote in on the Republican side. On the Democrat side, you've got roughly, call it 72% by either direct vote for Joe Biden or write-in for Joe Biden. And yeah, that's pretty consistent with all the polling throughout the year. So let me get this thing pulled up as far
I just found a 9-minute one too, by the way.
Oh,
that's
okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Drop it. I mean, I don't care. I mean, we'll like I say, we've got some time waiting for the numbers to come in.
Yeah, that's the full audio, the 9-minute one, I think.
Well, the full audio. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on a minute. Vamp among yourselves for a second, gentlemen.
That's the one thing that's very important. I always want to know full context. That's only we want truth. We want to hear everything, not just the clips.
Yeah, and
speaking of the primary
VP,
source.
Speaking of VP, the only two choices that are acceptable to me are Vivek Ramaswamy or Carrie Lake. I was on the fence about Carrie Lake for being VP until I heard this audio. After I heard this audio, I'm like, okay, this lady, she either needs to run for president next time or she needs to be VP. Seriously.
I liked her.
I like Carrie Lake.
I will be the first person for her presidential campaign if she decides to run in 2028. Seriously, I will be.
She's great. She's great.
Seriously,
she's a firebrand.
That's one of the nicest people I've met, and she's just integrity, everything.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got this pulled up. Yeah, and fellas, like I say, if you hear something that intrigues you enough, you want to comment on it, just let me know, and we'll stop it, and we'll just give you the run of the floor. So here we go with this, folks. This is a conversation recorded between Carrie Lake, who is currently the Senate candidate and a declared candidate for the Senate in Arizona, and Jeff DeWitt, who is the chairman of the Arizona Republican Party. So here we go.
Don't tell people.
They're going to try to have me murdered.
Not either. Today's world, man. If that stuff that came out last week is right about the cartel stuff, man. They say the cartel's operating in 50 states right now, like all 50. You know? So
what's going on? Who is it? What?
Forget the who. Let me just tell you the what. I just say there are people.
Okay, that's the first tip off that something's about to go bad. She's like, "Who is? Where's this coming from?" He's like, "Don't worry about the who."
Calling around, saying, "Gosh, no, they can't repeat this. Never repeat this." If you say no, don't. If you say, "I got offered to buy out," don't use it, because then we lose our ability to get things done in the future.
Here's my problem. Rather than just say, "Let's work with her. She's a great candidate," because they don't own me. And it pisses me off.
Yeah, I don't know it's about ownership.
It's about control.
I don't know it's about control. It's about being on the team. I guess that's, you know what I mean?
They want to be on the team.
They want you to be on their team.
But
you know?
But if they're pushing a globalist agenda, I can't do that. So what do they want? What do they want me to do?
You want to stay out for 2 years. What? I'll tell you what I can offer you. What? I said, you can do whatever you want. It's talking head, isn't it? So the ask of me was, it's kind of fun. So the ask I got today from back east was, is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her, to keep her out? And I said, well, what do you want to do? Whatever we need to do.
This is about defeating Trump. And I think that's a bad, bad thing for our country. DeSantis is not America first. This is about the final death blow to Trump. And I don't think that's good for our country.
I love Trump. I love Trump.
It's not good for our country, Jeff.
It's not. But at the same time, I'm not even sure Trump can win. I don't know that he can win. I think what it really comes down to for a lot of people, it's not really about like control or agenda. It's just about
Oh, hang on. Sorry.
the ability to raise money to win. You know, if you really want to know, all of politics boils down to money. I think. And even on their end, like what makes them the most money?
I know. All these consultants don't want their payday to end. And I don't want to make a deal with these kind of people. This is a hill worth dying on. I'm not, if they're going to steal the election to make me and our movement go away, I'm not letting them do that. I owe it to the people of Arizona to carry their torch and their voice.
Or you don't go away, but you pause.
This is the battles right now, Jeff.
You pause. And you fill your coffers.
No, the battle is right now. The battle is right now. And we don't have time to pause on this battlefield.
You're not. You can't scratch their back. It's not afraid of.
Yeah.
You don't even offer them. And they're sitting around people that have something to offer them. You know what I mean? It's just it's a back scratching club. That's all DC is. It's a big back scratching club. You're in no position to scratch anybody's back, and you've already made it known that if you get there, you're not going to scratch anybody's back. I don't scratch people's back. You know, I've been on the outs with a lot of people for a long time because I don't scratch backs. You know, where are we in 2 years if they steal the election again?
Listen to what you're saying. Why don't we do something about it so that we the people can pick our...
What can we do?
I'm not willing to accept that. And I'm going to be the biggest pain in these people's... Go back and tell them that. I'm running, and I'm going to be the biggest pain in their...
I'm not willing to tell them that.
And they're going to have to kill me to stop me.
I know. Look. And
you don't have to tell them that, but I don't think they will, but...
Nah, I don't think that's the way they are.
Either they come around and try to work with me, or I'm just going to... That would entail not telling... Layman's telling me, you got to distance yourself from Trump. I know, you distance yourself from DeSantis.
He's all butthurt about that.
But what I'm saying is, don't tell people that. I'm with Trump, okay? I want to work for the betterment of Arizona. I'm not going to let these people back in D.C. tell me not to run. I'm not going to pause for 2 years. The battle is now. I'm offended by whoever these people are that they're trying to buy me out of.
Well, you should be honored.
But I'm offended that there's people back there who just don't give about our country.
Do you understand though? You should be honored. That means they know how powerful you are.
Well, I can tell them that
if you weren't powerful, they wouldn't want to have this conversation.
Yeah.
Right? You should be. Very few people get this.
I know. I'm pissed that they don't care more about our country. It's all about the mighty dollar to them. And that's offensive.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
They want to get Trump so bad. They want him out so bad.
About Trump. This isn't about Trump. It's about you. It's not about Trump.
It's
about you. It's not about Trump. Some people that are in on this.
Listen, I can win. Why don't you go back and tell them that I can win? And why don't they get behind me?
I just see it. I see these things through a different lens. It's very personal to you. This was you. It was your name on the ballot, and I get that. And it's a very personal thing.
Well, I have a appointment coming up, and I have to work on my book.
Yeah.
I'm not good. I appreciate their concern.
Just to say, is there a number at which
I can be bought?
not be bought?
That's what it's about.
You can take a pause for a couple of years.
No.
And then go right back to what you're doing.
No.
Unbelievable.
10 million, 20 million, 30, no. A billion, no.
Okay.
This is not about money. This is about our country.
Okay. I'm done.
I think it's disturbing that they would that anybody would think this is.
No, to be fair, even me, I'll say this. I want a fresh face right now for the reason that I've never seen anyone, I can't think of a single person in a federal race who lost, ran in and won. I can't think of it. If you can think of it, let me know.
I'm not going to let these people who hate our country tell me not to run. You should call them and tell them to get behind me.
I mean,
I can win, and they should get behind me.
I would happily say those words.
Yeah.
Do you think my words will carry any weight? No.
You're the chairman of the party.
Jesus. Who is this date? This is what I'm sorry. This is well, again, I'm being a little bit, you call me crazy, whatever. Okay. I was told by God to sell everything, let it all go, and do right for America. And that's what I'm doing for my part, because I want to do right for America. And this audio proves exactly, because again, I would run for anything to change anything. And I don't want money. This is not about money anymore. I don't care. And she's 100% correct. They can't bribe me. I'm unbribable. I have nothing right now because again, I was very, very sick, but I was healed. And my tumors, again, over 2023, 250 pounds of tumors are gone. They just vanished. They're vanishing. And I'm gonna lose the last 140 pounds of tumors. So I'm done with this shit. I'm done. Where do I need to go? I'm done. I can't do this. This is ridiculous. And you have this weasel of the uniparty. It's not just Democrat. It's not just Republicans. It's on both sides. Who is this they shit? And again, I say it all the time. They, like Alex Soros, that motherfucker, and Soros and all these other people. The WEF, people don't realize this. The WHO is not in charge. These are representatives. They're not the authority. They represent us. And this weasel here trying to bribe her. And again, she's a genuine. She went to journalism school. She's a reporter, and then she exposed a lot of stuff. She did a lot of hard work, and then when she ran for governor, because she saw what was going on in her state, her own backyard, and she did this. And again, they are terrified of a woman. That means how fucking pussy they are. I'm sorry, it's just insane. And what this weasel, and Brentley, I could say other things, but I'm done with this crap. I am done. This is what gets me fired up because like I said, I want to get married. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have kids, and I want to raise kids in a country that is not going to be. These people are fucking. I mean, this is. I'm sorry. I got upset. This is insane. I can't believe this.
Gents, before Brent, Chad, Christian, before I started back up, you want to, lest Reuben and I hog the microphone on you three fine gentlemen, you want to throw in before we restart this?
I'll say one thing, because you guys know I could go on for hours about just this phenomenon here. But I'll say one thing. In my limited time studying politics, for what it really is, not the level I normally analyze it, I analyze on level of principle, for what it really is, power politics. This kind of conversation is not only common, this kind of conversation was one of the features of the political system and still is in a certain way before Trump got in 2016, 2015. And it's one of the reasons why we've had this kind of outcomes that we've had in our country. This kind of conversation is one of the reasons why I think the entire idea of institutional political parties and institutional political power being coalesced around 1, 2, 3, I don't care how many entities, is fundamentally a dangerous prospect to our republic, because in political parties, there are levels. And with each level you go up in the political party, the further you are distanced from the people, and the further, not just the people, but the further you are distanced from considerations of sound principle, right? Because if you're on layer 1, right, you have to deal with everything on layer 1. But if you're on layer 5 and you're beneath the surface, and not only are you beneath the surface, but you are trusted with maintaining everything beneath the surface, how can you possibly focus on what is morally correct or what is righteous? You can only focus on what helps you in that particular environment. And that's the problem. A lot of people that are in electoral politics, that's their consideration. A lot of people in electoral politics can't even think beyond, okay, I have to make sure donor X is okay. I have to make sure the standing committee and the RNC is okay. I have to make sure this guy who was a congressperson 10 years ago who still calls the shots right now is okay. I have to make sure the Obamas are okay. I have to make sure the Bushes are okay. Mm-hmm. This is the levels. The further you are distanced from the substance of issues, the more susceptible you are to political manipulation. And this is why political parties are dangerous to the republic. And this is why our founders were skeptical of political parties. I can go on. I'll stop there for the sake of time. I don't want to hog up anyone's time, but this is just part of a phenomenon that I'm not surprised about it, but it does break my heart. I mean, look at what Madison Cawthorn said about blackmail. If you want to go into another level. I mean, it's been happening even before, but especially around COINTELPRO time and even before that. I mean, this is our system right now. Anyway, so, yeah, that's all I got to say for now.
Brent, Chad, anything you want to throw in before I crank it back up?
I just think it's funny how I think he thinks he's being sly and sneaky about it, but he's just like, so out of curiosity, is there a number that you would consider?
Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, there's about a little under 3 minutes left. Then when this gets done, I want to turn loose on this pussy. Anyway. All right, here we go.
Okay, well, did you think you would come in here and that I would be bought?
It's not being bought.
Yes, it is.
I think.
It is being bought. No. They are trying to buy me out of running. It's actually, I mean, all right, I'm flattered. I'm offended. I'm offended for our country. We have people like this who live here.
What I think is this, is it can give you an incredible opportunity to have a bigger voice to fight for stuff than you currently do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't want to deal with people like this. These people are un-American, and I think they're unethical, and I would be absolutely immoral if I did that.
Again,
that's immoral. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror if I, you know.
It's very powerful people that are willing to.
Fuck off.
They really want someone different. They want new names, whatever it is.
So they want Jim Lehman. That's a new name.
No, actually, that's not even. That's a possibility. But they're even asking me like.
I know they've got all these new names, and I'm going to beat each and every one of them. Sorry, Jeff. Take it back. Take it back to them.
Oh.
I gotta get working. I love you, but I gotta get working.
All right, I appreciate it.
I mean, I'm just can't believe this.
Hey, so deflated. He thought that was gonna work.
Instead of just them working to beat you, they're trying to
This is about getting Trump out.
Nah,
yeah, it is.
Trump never came once.
What's about DeSantis? Getting DeSantis in. Getting DeSantis is getting Trump out.
You're reading too deep into it.
Well, let's see what happens. Maybe my case will go through. Maybe they'll do the right thing.
I hope so.
I do too. That's my first goal. But they can't have me in the governor's office because then we're going to root out some of this corruption.
But again, it's like,
you know what it is? The people don't get to choose their elected officials unless they're pre-approved by the swamp. And the swamp doesn't pre-approve of me.
You need a strong party to help.
I think you should go public with this and then say, hey,
no.
These people don't want to. They don't want.
And then I turn my key in my car and I go.
No.
I like my car.
Tell them I'm not flattered. I'm offended that they.
Don't tell anybody we had this conversation.
I'm offended that they don't care about our country more.
I actually wish you'd just give me a counter offer this big.
Oh, fuck off.
Give me a counter.
I can't be bought.
Come on.
I can't.
All right, I'll do it.
Okay, bye-bye.
What a fuck.
Oh my Lord. I am flabbergasted. Although part of me, so the conspiratorial tinfoil hat Brentley ponders the possibility that this conversation was pre-scripted in advance. However, that's just me being totally tinfoil hatty. If it is what appears on the surface, it's a damning indictment, but it is, politics as usual. Most of us who have been paying attention know this stuff happens all the time. It's incredibly rare that we get exposure like this, though. So the veil is coming down. They can't keep the secrets anymore. It's all.
But don't you think they're going to basically tout this as Republican corruption, and it's the Republican side that Trump's part of it? They're going to twist it around.
Hang on. There's two questions that are being asked. Well, three actually, and by one of our very smart regulars in my channel. Who taped it? Who let it out? Nothing gets leaked without a reason. All very reasonable questions. Extremely reasonable.
Carrie leaked it. She recorded it. She released
it. That's the part that I'm having a little bit of trouble with. Why did she just start recording this conversation?
That's a good question.
That's fair. It seems like them talking is not an uncommon thing because she's like, all right, I love you, but I gotta go. So it seems like they talk a lot. So why did she just start?
He's the head of the chair of the Arizona Republican Party.
Yeah.
So
that is correct.
They would be,
they would know each other.
She may have anticipated, this conversation being spicy and worth recording, and gotten her hands on something that was explosive and is using it as her sort of parlay into the Trump administration.
Who knows? Like maybe somebody reached out to her and said, "Hey, Jeff's going to come by. You're not going to like what he has to say." Who knows? But
who knows?
That's possible. He gave her a bit of a heads up. Yep, it's all possible. All possible. And also, she's a smart woman. She's an incredibly
wise. She's
so fat. She knows exactly what she's doing. And this is explosive. But this is the thing. We're in this news cycle now where there's explosive news literally every day. It boggles my mind to try to keep up. I I work in media, and so I kind of keep up by nature of that. But
sure.
It's a lot. It's a lot to process, everything that's happening all the time. There's big, explosive revelations in the January 6th pipe bombs investigation.
Mm-hmm.
That those pipe bombs were totally inert, probably, actually sourced from FBI or DHS materials.
Yep.
They were training devices. That was an operation that was probably some sort of training exercise that they exploited for political purposes after the fact, because the person who discovered it was originally supposed to be just a member of the public. No, it was a plainclothes DC Capitol police officer. And Darren Beatty, who's a reporter that's been doing a lot of the work on this, released now surveillance footage that showed that the police, when they were informed that there was a pipe bomb, did not get out of the car and respond for a full minute. So clearly they weren't in a rush to, get to the device to figure out what it was. So it just all seems like the whole J6 thing is coming unraveled.
Yeah, a lot of the reporters are being arrested, are getting their one that works for Glenn Beck's also being prosecuted. It's crazy.
Yeah, that guy Steve, I can't remember his name, but the Justice Department was going back and forth with him for years, saying they were going to prosecute him, and basically just holding a gun to his head and asking for his foot. He gave all his footage. He was very open, very transparent about being there. And it's just insane how they've treated him. It's the most Gestapo-esque, mafioso kind of behavior from the federal government.
Yep.
Yeah, I as the recovering Republican on this panel, you should see what the meetings are like. We all sit around in a circle, and I go, "Hi, my name is Brian. I'm a recovering Republican." Hi, Brian. Okay. I was trying to figure out, listening to that recording, is he the godfather or the consigliere? Well, it seems like he's the consigliere delivering the message. Either way, Jeff DeWitt, tender your resignation tonight. Resign as the state party chairman. Clear out your office and go. Now, someone's going to say, oh, well, he wasn't the one making the bribe. No, but he's delivering the message, which makes him just as culpable in it. He knows exactly what it is. She's flat out telling him, it's a bribe, Jeff, it's a bribe. They're trying to bribe me. They don't want me in this race. They're trying to get to Trump. No, they're just scared of you. Jeff, it's a bribe. He won't admit what's painfully obvious to anybody. The guy is a first-class, 100% all-American made, 100% pussy who doesn't have the balls, the stones, the manhood, whatever you want to call it, to stand up and acknowledge, yes, I'm delivering a bribe to you. Would you like to accept? Sweet God in heaven. If this is
a counteroffer.
A counteroffer. Can I take him a counteroffer? No, you pussy, you bastard. Resign right now. Write the letter to Carrie. Let her
I would honestly
gone.
But
I'd honestly have more respect for him if he was just more blatant about it and was like, hey, what's up? We want you to go away for a couple years. 10 million, cool.
Yeah, I mean, be Don Corleone, for God's sake, not Tom.
But again, this conversation, he's delivering the message, and it comes from the Republican donors, the Republican shadow of Republican donors. Yeah. So then these are the same fucking idiots that gave Nikki Haley the job at Boeing, that she got that military contract, that her own family got a contract too. Again, and we'll pay for you. So then this is so then you know already that Haley's result of her vote tonight is directly because she's getting backed by these shadow people who went after Carrie Lake. So it's these shadow people that are propping up Haley, that are now touting the media, and if they don't call it out, and I'm going to call it out, I'm done with this shit. I'm ready to do. I need to know what to do now. I'm done. I can't sit by here. The emperor has no clothes. I've known this since since 2020 when the election happened, and then that I knew that was it, because I saw what Trump did as president, and then I saw what they did with the whole COVID nonsense. Okay. And then they did it in January 6th. Everything since then has been nonsense after nonsense after nonsense, and no one is doing anything. I've been standing up. I got banned on Twitter back in 2020. And I got banned 10 times. 10 times. And I have 2 backup accounts right now. I haven't gotten banned. I've gotten a little bit of warnings because of my, Brentley, what I got a warning for that my post that you commented on. And I go, come on, guys, just relax. Again, I mean it in the way I do it. You're lame. You're a freak.
No, Twitter doesn't like that.
No. He's a pussy. He's a flat out, gutless, ballless pussy.
I know. Well, I said something else.
Okay.
I use the F. Well, the F.
He said faggot, but that's okay because I'm gay and I give everybody an F slur pass. So you all can use it. It's okay.
But I use that word. I use all the words all the time.
You're not gonna kill a gay person somewhere in like San Francisco is not gonna fall over dead because you said faggot on the internet. Okay, it's perfectly okay. It's just a word. It's okay.
I'm sorry. I mean, and I apologize. It's just like this guy is just spineless, mealy mouth,
he's a real weasel. Real weasel. You hear the way he's talking.
Oh, you're insulting weasels by calling him that. Don't insult weasels. Weasels have more self-respect than to hang out with the likes of this jerk.
He's like almost an archetypical sort of political like huckster. Like,
All right. How many of y'all have seen the movie The Untouchables?
Ooh, not a long
time. Yeah.
All right. There's a great scene after Elliot Ness and his group of untouchables make their first major bust in Chicago of Capone's liquor. He gets a visit from a Chicago alderman.
Oh, yeah.
And Reuben, you know the scene I'm talking about from the way you're reacting. Everybody walks out of the room. So there's Kevin Costner and there's the Chicago alderman. Kevin Costner's playing Elliot Ness, and Kevin Costner turns his back, and the alderman throws an envelope full of money on the table, on the desk, and
just like
Kevin Costner says, "What's this?" And the alderman's like, you know, Mr. Ness, let us be frank. Let me pay you the compliment of not being the compliment of being blunt. You're interfering with a very big business here. Why don't you just step out of the way? Well, as you might expect, Kevin Costner in the character of Elliot Ness throws the money back at him, grabs this alderman by the coat, and throws him out. That ballless, manless form, waste of human flesh, Jeff DeWitt, is that same guy from the Untouchables.
Yeah.
That's all he is.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
But again, I see every day I'm seeing that that the political class is showing their true colors now, and it's going to get, again, 2024 has just begun, and it's
the
going to
veil is coming down. You can't, like,
the masks are coming off, and you see the demons that they are
coming off. You see the demons. Yes, they cannot hide anymore. It's like it's all coming out. And also a big point about something that what was his name, Jeff? He revealed about the identity of the source of the offer. You know, he said something along the lines of, you know, if you anger those people, I'll turn I'll turn like the key in my car and it'll explode. Who does that? Who has the capability to install car bombs and kill people with them? Like
the three-lettered agencies.
A lot of people do. Either the cartels do, the government does, some NGO non-actor does, some does.
Yeah. But again, I always think the fentanyl crisis is done by we're doing it. We pay the cartels. We want, again, it's all goes back to the whole idea.
It's a quiet genocide. They're killing addicts, they're killing drug users, they're killing people that are desperate and homeless.
I didn't even know that the amount of fentanyl that could kill you.
So little.
It's less than they did a whole comprehension. It's like if you take a sugar cube amount or half a rice grain of that, if you take that, you die. But again, and some people are just like, and I'm just going, they're doing this on purpose. And the political posturing is the fentanyl crisis. You're not doing anything about it. You're letting it come. You're letting the border opened, and you're not complaining about it. You're saying how racist we are for not letting people in. No, it's over. This is done, and they're purposely doing it. We're shipping our businesses. All of our phones and our equipment are made in China, and I'm doing my part. Both my computers are American made by American companies, by American parts, and it took a damn long time to get these things because it had to go. And my phone too, American made phone, and I'm switching, and it's tough because I don't even use Windows. I don't trust Microsoft anymore. I never have. I stopped using Microsoft a long time ago in 2008 personally, and then Apple. I don't use Apple anymore. I'm done with Apple too. So I'm just done with this shit. It's just sick.
Yeah, if you're joining us right now, my name is Brian Trippett. I'm the Front Porch Conservative. This is Reuben Christopher Haynes, the Professor Christian Watson, Brent from the Dangerous Rhetoric Podcast, and published author Chad Manley. We're watching the results of the New Hampshire primary come in, and aside from talking about various others goings on in the world, and even after tonight, I mean, you know, a lot of Trump supporters, and I guess you could maybe make the argument I was one of them that fell into this mindset, felt like tonight might be a coronation. No, I've got a feeling now the better way to describe it, this is the beginning of the war of attrition. Because right now, the Republican Party, politically speaking, I mean, I've said this fight's been coming for years, and tonight, this may be the opening salvo. This is the fight between, you know, the establishment of the party versus populist conservatives, and the establishment's not going without. I mean, Trump's going to be the nominee. I don't think that's up for question. The question now is how much of a fight does the establishment want to put in? And quite frankly, watching some of what I'm watching here, they're going to hang around for a while. I mean, maybe Nikki Haley wasn't just full of bluster when she said, "I'm not getting out." So if you guys want to throw in on that, go ahead.
She stays in, the more evident it becomes she's just there to spoil the contest. Like, the thing is about Nikki Haley is that she's just so obviously a Democratic foil that the longer she stays in, she gives the game up. Like, it becomes, and her voters even make that clear. Like, as we saw 2 examples, and then that one clip, the one kid was even like, "This is a very representative conversation I'm having," So it's just like so obvious.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on Twitter. And fellas, I know you guys have got lives and jobs. I mean, if anybody needs to duck out, go right ahead. I'm not gonna get mad if you do. I mean, I'm a weirdo. I'll stay here for however long. But if you guys have got and I'm not trying to run you off either, so don't get me wrong. But if anybody's got to go or whatever, I totally get it. But yeah, we're gonna watch this for a while longer. I mean, the results are determined. The only question is the margins. It looks like Trump's not going to enjoy the same victory that the polls going in. And I think it's pretty well established now. You've had a lot of Democrats crossing over in the past 48, 72, 96 hours, however long, switching out registrations. And it's quite obvious they're mucking around in the primary. And I'll put this up on the screen. Numerous chats, no matter who the group supported. Trump, DeSantis, nobody is supporting Haley. It kind of speaks for itself. Can't say, So, yeah, we're going to, we've got good folks here tonight. And if you've got clips out there from the mainstream media, yeah, throw them in here. I mean, be it interviews with voters or, the talking heads talking amongst the talking heads. But keep in mind, we'll say more on this live stream in 5 minutes than most of those people will ever say in an hour. So just to say, we might not have the money and the polish of some of these organizations. But by George, we've got better brains. I'll stack us up against anybody. So, oh gosh, that whole recording, just like, I mean, I'd heard part of it. I hadn't had the chance to sit down and listen to the whole thing. But God, that pissed me off. Just unbelievable.
Yeah, but like I say, the mainstream media will spin this as Republicans are doing the Republican things, and that's their own mind. They're gonna deflect, and it's a uniparty. It's again, who is they? And people ask me all the time, and I say they are doing this. They're poisoning the food. They're feeding kids drugs. They're changing people's they're just it's influence that they have is just it's insane. Again, I stopped. Well, I never really liked, Cheetos and Fritos and Taco Bell and all the other crap. It's full. They peddle this garbage. It's all garbage. Yeah. Garbage in food, garbage in TV, garbage in news, garbage.
Yeah, I want to put something up on the screen. And Christian, I just saw the one you dropped in, but I want to get these up here real quick. Leah, who's in chat, sent us this just to show you guys something. This is from earlier in the night when there was like 41% in, and we're well past that point now. And I'm doing this to set something up. Okay. Just take a look at these numbers. Okay. And this is on the Democrat side. Now, that sets up what we're going to watch next. So hang on. This is Steve Kornacki of NBC News, who is really good. And I thank Reuben for throwing this one in. Because this is his analysis. He might be working for NBC News, but he's pretty spot on as far as being even-handed. This runs about a minute, and I'm going to put this up here. Y'all, take a listen to this, because this just will more or less confirm what we've all been thinking.
We asked folks coming into the polls, do you identify as a Republican? Do you identify as a Democrat? Or do you identify as an independent? And here's what we found in this exit poll so far. And I think this jumps right out at you. A minority of voters in this first wave of the exit poll in the Republican primary identify as Republicans. A majority, 53%, identify as either independents, 45%, or, and this is a high number historically, 8% identify as Democrats. For some context here, in 2016, the last competitive Republican primary, presidential primary in New Hampshire, the electorate was 55% Republican. It was 42% independent, and it was 3% Democratic. So in this initial wave, you're seeing some significant differences from 2016. We asked for
your thoughts, gentlemen.
Told ya.
I think the sooner open primaries go away, the healthier our republic will be. Seriously, I mean, what do I even say?
But the thing is, but the thing, Christian, there's a problem. The problem is people don't know what a primary means.
You're right. There is a significant problem of education of many kinds: moral education, political education, cultural education, social education. Yep. And I think that a revolution of the mind that I want to be a part of leading will fix that problem. That's how you fix it. You don't fix it through a policy. You fix it through, again, as I mentioned, inspiring something in the heart that will allow someone to, see something beyond their own environment and push them further in their understanding. But we don't have that right now in our political culture. All we have is a corporate media that is selling us, damaged goods as if it's the best fresh thing out there. Yep. And what do we get? We get a poor culture as a result, unfortunately.
And before we go further, that comment leads in beautifully to this clip that Christian shared in private chat. I'm gonna throw it out here because this is worth the listen, given what he just set up.
USA and Donald Trump, America first. Now I got 30 seconds left. I want to make this point here, okay? We got to say this. We got to say this right. What we see right now with her continuing in this race is the ugly underbelly of American politics, where the mega donors are trying to do one thing when we, the people, say another. And it's up to us, we, the people, to at long last say, hell no. We, the people, create a government that is accountable to us. And we, the people, have said tonight, we want, again, as we did in Iowa, Donald J. Trump. And so you want to actually speak truth. That's the truth tonight. And the only thing they're rooting for is an ugly thing that we don't want to see happen. That's what these people are rooting for, is playing to say long enough so the Reid Hoffmans and the ugly Democratic George Soros Juniors who are funding the lawsuits against Trump can prop up their puppet. We say no to that vision. I say the general election begins tonight, and this man will win it in a landslide. God bless you, Donald J. Trump. Vote Trump, USA.
Very nice. Wasn't that nice?
Now, notice something. Tim Scott's facial expressions during the entire time. He seems visibly uncomfortable while Vivek is speaking. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
He seemed visibly uncomfortable. Of course, we know why that is, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, no, I don't know why it is. Why is it?
So I think they're both trying to compete for the same spot.
Yes.
And Tim Scott is being outshined in almost every single way. Because he's fine. I'm not against him personally. He's a war hawk, though. People don't realize that.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Scott is a certified war hawk, which is one of the reasons why I'm surprised that a certain portion of MAGA seems to be okay with him. He's a war hawk. He's Nikki Haley as a male, basically. That's a different story. But every time he speaks, what is it? It's goofy. It's loud. It's rambunctious. It's performative. It's like you're hearing a pastor give the same sermon over and over and over again. When Vivek speaks, even if you don't like him, something within you is unlocked. Something within you is struck and hit. Mm-hmm. And Trump realizes that. And Trump also said that Vivek gave him the idea to be against CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. He hasn't attributed any other person who's up on that stage speaking with credit with helping him get an idea. I think that Vivek is proving more and more Trump with every single visit, every single time it comes out, that he may be the man for the job. It's obvious to me. It's like playing out because Trump likes the entertainment. He likes the public selection process. I think it's playing out right in front of our eyes. I don't know. I could be crazy though.
And Vivek does it well. But I don't know if you all know, but I listened. I met Brian in Orlando last year, and I went there because I follow the Nerderotic podcast, Friday Night Tights podcast, and you saw that Vivek came out on Friday Night Tights this past Friday. Benny Johnson was on, and then he was on there for a few minutes, and the chat blew up. But again, and he listened, and Jeremy Griggs from Geeks and Gamers is an avid Trump supporter, and he took questions from everybody, and he was very open about it, and they made fun of him because right before that they made the whole idea that the Babylon Bee basically said that the White House, Trump is going to give Vivek a job at 7-Eleven. They're going to put a 7-Eleven in the White House, and they had a picture of him there. And then he basically said, Vivek's response to that tweet, "Thank you, come again." And then they made reference to it because Chrissy Mayer basically said, "Hey, well, I was craving a Slurpee," and then Vivek said, "Yeah, I'll get you one." Because again, he's not and he said that in this interview that he did there, he's not a politician. He's a businessman like Trump. So that whole idea is that, yes, we need statesmen, businessmen, people who can handle a budget, handle people, work with people, come across and do it in a genuine way, not to do deals, backhanded deals, but to do honest deals. And I think that he's going to do that. But the thing is that they think they will turn on Vivek because of what was coming up in the last few days. If you remember he had sold his stock for his company that went from 6 to 32, and he got that money, and they may turn on him. So that's the whole idea. So if Vivek is the VP, they're going to come after him too. But I know that if there is a person that they would turn on, and it would be very bad for them to do that, it'd be Vivek, because Vivek in every encounter that he's had, and you've seen it, Christian, where they try to box him in, and then he turns the tables. He did it with the NBC reporter, he did it with CNN, he does it like that. So him and Carrie Lake also turn tables on people. Tim Scott, I don't think would. He would be very, very, he would be very, standard. But Vivek or Carrie Lake would be very much a pit bull when it comes to dealing with the press.
Absolutely. Yeah, Tim Scott's not what the country needs right now. Not unfortunately. I just think that our country needs someone who's going to be energetic, who's going to be vivacious, who's going to be substantive, and he is establishment. Tim Scott's establishment. No matter how much he wants to pretend he's not, he's establishment.
And I'm looking back right now on just by what the president's, the executive office has done to damage to America based upon our departments. Homeland Security was the last one in 2002. We have the secret courts and all this stuff and all that they're doing. The next one was Veterans Affairs. All of the problems with the veterans that we've had. This is 1989. It was created, and we have all these people being kicked out. Education, 79. We went from number 1 in education. Now we're at number 24 because all these departments, energy in 77, transportation in 67, after the interstate highway system was set up. Yep. So these departments, get rid of them all. Just like Millie did, afuera, get rid of them. Cut back the government. It's too freaking big.
Yep.
God,
absolutely. Yeah, it's just. I will say this: there's a lot of things about the times in which we find ourselves that I think are fascinating. One of them is we are headed for two things that are going to happen simultaneously: a generational shift in American politics, which is happening right now, and an ideological shift in American politics, which has been happening. Really, you can make an argument probably since 2016. The generational shift. This is the last election when you're going to have for lack of a better way of phrasing it, men and women of a certain age who are going to be the president of the United States. The next president, realistically speaking, is probably going to be in probably their 50s, if I had to guess. Early 60s at the most. Okay? But you're also going to have an ideological shift, and that's what the biggest tectonic fight is right now. Because all over the world, be it Argentina, be it the Netherlands, be it what country in Europe you're talking about, Hungary, etc., populist conservatism is starting to make a move, and it's making its move here in America. Okay, Trump is not the founder of the America First movement or the populist conservative movement, but he's most certainly its leader by default. When he passes from the scene, there's going to be a huge fight that happens over that. Who takes the reins of leadership? Who is, that next person that leads the movement? But yeah, we're setting up, and you're starting to see the fault lines happen in this election, but you'll most certainly see them come 2026, and most certainly it's game on in 2028.
Yeah. Yeah, Vivek, J.D. Vance,
Gary Lake,
Thomas Massey.
To a certain extent, yeah. Rand Paul,
yes.
Josh Hawley, and then on the other side of that, yeah.
Obert.
Yeah, and on the other side of that, you're gonna have the Marco Rubios,
God, no.
I mean, we could just go on.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be Mitch McConnell. They're not gonna be John Corwin. They're not gonna be Steny Hoyer, Nancy Pelosi, or any of those folks. But the ideological lines are now more or less set. The only thing that's yet to be determined are the players.
Yeah, actually, I heard a report today that Trump might be considering, I don't know how true this is, Marco Rubio for VP.
No.
I don't think
wretched.
I don't think. I'm not sure how credible that is. I think that'd be absolutely horrible. I would actually strongly advocate against that ticket. I'm sorry. Marco Rubio is part of the problem. DACA, he's one of the main architects of DACA, so he doesn't have the gall to deal with the immigration problem. He's also a war hawk. I know some people don't think that people who want to actually get us into wars and get us into entangling alliances are war hawks, but I'm sorry, that's a war hawk. I don't. There's different variations and different degrees of it, but if you want us to get into entangling alliances that detach our country from our moral obligation to our people and put it in the hands of multinational organizations like NATO and the Atlantic Council, which then further divides our ability to care for our own people, you are a war hawk. You may be a war hawk of a lesser degree, but you are a war hawk. You don't have to blow up every country to be a war hawk. So Marco Rubio is a war hawk. And so I personally, no war hawks of any degree should be able to come into the MAGA movement. All of them should remain out. We need to have a purity test. We do. That if you support entangling alliances of any sort, you should not be in MAGA, because you're not about MAGA. You're about the institutions that benefit when those wars happen. Right? Yeah. NATO doesn't care about MAGA. NATO is basically a giant welfare queen. Essentially, It is a giant international welfare queen. Trump made this point, and he tried to fix it, but of course, the status quo is very strong, especially for a novice president. So my hope is that if he gets back in office, he'll actually say, "Okay, guys, this time I mean it. We're cutting back permanently, and you're paying up more, or else we won't be in NATO anymore."
And never let it be said that the Front Porch Conservative was not fair in sharing all views. Just I'm putting this out there. I'm not throwing it out there as bait for anybody to respond to it. Just letting all voices be heard. So there you go.
Isolationism. That's an interesting word. I've heard that word for a while. If you want the deep lore on that word, sort of, isolationism is literally a term concocted by people who want to smear non-interventionism by attaching a negative quality to it. Like it's not even. It's like the word neoliberal. Well, neoliberal is one of the catchphrases that the academic left uses to demonize free market policies.
Yeah,
I don't take isolationism seriously. I don't take the word neoliberal seriously. Not unless you actually explain what they mean, because America, we've never really been totally and utterly and completely isolationist. We've always had allies, but we have been at points in our country where we've said, okay, we're not going to militarily engage. In the 20s, right? 20s, 30s. That was, after World War I, that was kind of the American spirit. Let's reject the League of Nations. Let's remain focused on America. We're not going to be in all these entangling alliances. Then World War II eventually happens, and we're launched into these entangling alliances. Some say for good reason. We defeat Hitler. Then what happens afterwards? The post-war consensus happens. And then after that, America literally sets the standards of the global geopolitical order. You get the rise of the liberal international order, and the whole idea that if you export Big Macs, it'll make war go away. Well, what happens? That system becomes hijacked by bad actors, and they use that for their own advantages. China begins manipulating the rules in terms of trade, embraces a limited free market, begins manipulating the rules in terms of trade, and lying and treating and conniving, and literally hijacks the liberal international order for its own purposes. And so what do you get now? What you get now in the 21st century is you get an impoverished system where tyrants can literally game the system, where Americans are losing jobs, losing companies that they used to, that literally made their communities, all in the name of some kind of globalized economy. That's what happens. So if I'm an isolationist, because I want to make sure that America keeps Americans first, and that any political order first benefits us as people, then I'm an isolationist. But that's not isolationism. That is simply Americanism, and I don't apologize for that whatsoever.
Yeah, tell you what, I just got a message from Brent that for various reasons he's got to take the bow. So
I'll see you, man.
No, yeah. So Brent, where can people find you on social media? Thank you for being here with us tonight. As always, your observations are prescient and appreciated. So where can people be finding you, sir?
You can find me on X, Acapopolis. It's like right here. Or you can also just search for Dangerous Rhetoric, and there's a link to my X account on there. Dangerous Rhetoric is the podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. It's on Rumble. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Enjoy the conversation, gentlemen. I enjoy your thoughts as always. Very thought-provoking.
All right.
We'll be back again soon with another one, I'm sure.
All right. You have a good night, sir, and stay out of trouble if you can.
Always.
Good night, sir. All right. It's about 10:40 p.m. Eastern. We're going to let this go a little bit longer. Give it a few more minutes, and then we'll let everybody dip out, with exits and grace and everything else. Let me pop up where we're currently at as far as the numbers are concerned. I mean, again, the race was called for Trump shortly after 8 o'clock Eastern. He is going to win. He'll win with a double-digit victory, not nearly what the polls leading into it were stating. Pop down to the Democrat side of it, and again, you've got a situation where, Joe Biden's going to win either by direct vote or by write-in, but you've also got a significant portion of Democrats that are trying to say, we don't want him, go away. And, I just wonder how much that's going to dog Joe Biden. I mean, he's going to be the nominee. I mean, with all due respect, and I'm not saying, I could be totally wrong on this point. I just have a real hard time buying the theory that Joe Biden will not be the Democrat nominee for any number of reasons, but one of them is this. Okay, let's assume for a moment he goes through the primaries. He earns the requisite number of delegates, which he will. He's the incumbent president, and goes to the convention in Chicago in August and says, you know what? For health reasons, I'm bowing out. Okay, that sets up a mad scramble.
Right.
Here's the problem, at least as I see it. Would it be in the Democrats' best interest if Joe Biden were not the nominee? Yeah, I think so. The sad part for the Democrats is he's the best person polling against Trump right now. Newsom's not doing that well, and nobody else is either. But here's the problem. All right, let's just assume for a moment he gets out. It takes time and, more importantly, campaign infrastructure that you've got to set up. The The Democrats aren't going to have 2 months to do that. They're going to have September and October, and that's it. And as good as the Democrats are at retail grassroots campaigning, and as I hate to admit that, but they are, there is no way that a national campaign sets up in 2 months to slot one guy out, plug another person in, and then you just roll like nothing happened. Because even if you work from the assumption that Joe Biden's people will automatically go over to whoever the new candidate is, you can't even guarantee that. You don't know that's going to happen because, believe it or not, as strange as it may sound, there are people that actually want to work for Joe Biden. God in heaven only knows why, but they are. And they're going to be like, you ran my guy out. Screw you. I'm not going to go work for fill in the blank. And let's be honest, he has the legal protections of the presidency. Yeah, he'd still be president until January 2025, but does he really want to risk giving that up? Just saying. I think he's the nominee. I mean, I've heard Michelle Obama. I've heard people who I really respect in American politics, push this theory. I just can't buy it. I just can't.
No, I've heard that too, and the evidence that they're planning on swapping him out with like Michelle Obama or something is like Michelle Obama did an interview. It's like, yeah, guys, she does a lot of interviews.
Yeah.
Or it's always like pretty flimsy, and it's like someone like a
you froze.
Politician or they would normally do. So, and if Joe Biden did step down, or if he passed away, like that means Kamala Harris takes over. Like, and they're stuck with her because they're going to have to explain why they're giving her the boot over, Gavin Newsom or something like that. I don't think that they can do that. And I think Joe Biden chose Kamala Harris because she's so terrible. I think he chose Kamala Harris because he knew that if he chose a really strong backup, they would try to get them out sooner. He purposefully chose someone who is just hated in politics, like Kamala Harris, so that he knew that they wouldn't try to force him out for the obvious replacement.
Yeah. Yeah. The insurance policy. They may not like me, but they'll hate her more. Get rid of me, you get her. That's the unspoken message. I mean, I heard about something today, and I have not seen it yet, that it was reported that Joe Biden back in 2020 knew that there was somebody else who would have been better, but he had to pick her. He needed to pick her for whatever reason.
Yeah, it was Gretchen Whitmer.
It was Gretchen. Yeah. Who we lovingly here on the front porch refer to as the Wicked Witch of the Midwest. And believe me, she earns the name.
She is the American Trudeau. She's horrible.
Oh, she's wretched. God. She's absolutely wretched.
Whitmer. Yeah.
The idea that she can get even close to the presidency, which, by the way, once Biden's time is over, she'll probably run for the next election.
Oh, wow. I absolutely agree with that. I could see her, J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois. I could see Newsom.
He's a criminal. Pritzker's a criminal.
He's a crook. In the great tradition of Illinois politicians, he is truly a crook. He's just crooked like a dog's hind leg. He's awful. Mm-hmm. But the one person outside of Whitmer who is intriguing, I don't think the Democrats would ever let him near the nomination, but he'd be intriguing if he got it. Chad Paulus of Colorado.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Chad Paulus of Colorado. I would be, not that I would want to see him win, but I'd be real interested to see what kind of a candidate he'd wind up being.
Yeah. Martin O'Malley, too, remember him?
Yeah, I remember Martin O'Malley. Yeah.
So the thing about him is that he had to play pretend because he went viral for saying all lives matter at the height. I think it was at the height of the George Floyd stuff. And the moment he said all lives matter, the entire room booed him. so he had to play pretend. But I think that Martin O'Malley, someone like him, he's politically savvy, and he has like a kind of idealistic vision of America, and he believes the progressive message can help Americans get there, but he had to play pretend. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think he was a very compelling candidate. So if they want to really have like a new, fresh-faced, I know that Patrick Kennedy, remember him?
I remember.
Joe, whatever his name is, the ginger-haired guy in Massachusetts.
Yep.
So he was trying to be this sort of runner-up, next new face of the Democratic Party, but he hasn't caught on. I don't hear about him ever. I don't see him ever. So, they have to really, if I'm a progressive, I'm going to think to myself, who is the person who's going to lead us into the next 20, 30, 50 years of our movement? Is it just going to be rejects that from the old world that don't actually understand our current cultural moment? Is it going to be rather people that pay lip service to the woke and are willing to continue to lean into like the new left of the 1960s as opposed to addressing the concerns of the old left of the 1920s, which Bernie Sanders represents more of that, the sort of, I'm concerned about the working class. I want to have better wages. I want to have equal pay for equal work. I want to eliminate poverty. That was the old left, as opposed to the new left, which is all about, no, I want to institute cultural Marxism. I want to come in and I want to teach your kids about the malleability of gender and the non-existence of womanhood and the subjectivity of life and stuff like that. I mean, if I'm a progressive right now, as an old school one, I'm concerned. I'm worried because I don't see a visionary.
Yeah.
I don't see a visionary at all. But if I'm like a new school progressive, if I'm like a new leftist from like 1960s onward, then I'm also kind of disappointed because no one in the institutional Democratic Party right now is all the way down with my values unless we look at people in Congress like AOC or Presley or whatever. So
they can push AOC. They could prop her up, and
they could.
All they could do, all AOC would need is a teleprompter, and be fed stuff.
Yeah, they could prop her up. She's young enough.
They're gonna do that. Yeah. She might be one of their go-to candidates in 2028. I was saying how I don't know who they're gonna run. Like they might turn to AOC.
I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something that's probably going to surprise people. Beware that woman. I mean, she to me is a reminder of the mistake that conservatives like me made back in the 1990s, long before some of y'all were watching the stuff you were watching. Conservatives in the 90s made the mistake of seeing people like AOC and laughing at them, but never taking them seriously. Because we thought, hey, as goofy as this person is, there's no way that the American people will ever buy what they're selling. And we forgot the most important thing. A lie becomes the truth in the absence of somebody telling you what the actual truth is. Yeah. Beware AOC. She is an extremely effective communicator. She understands the cultural times in which she lives. Does she have the seasoning and the polish of a politician? No. But to a generation of Democrats and progressives and independents coming up with her, she's got the cultural zeitgeist. Beware of that woman. She's not nearly as stupid as guys like me think.
No,
just saying.
You're wise to say that. I think that. So let's look at the merits of AOC. I never thought I'd be saying this, but let's look at some of the merits of AOC. Number one, she's probably the most social media savvy Democratic politician in Washington. Number two, she has an immense sway with the young left. So when I was on my debate team in college, all the people around me were leftists. So there was not like a single conservative there. So I have an ear to what the young left thinks. And many of them told me, Christian, AOC is great, but she needs to be more radical. She doesn't go far enough for us. So, but still, they love her. They want more of that. Number three, she's young enough that in light of the previous guy, Biden's age, she will seem superficially refreshing, which matters to people, even if it's just superficial still. And number four, I think that politically, she's actually pretty savvy, because when she first got into office, she was speaking out a lot. She was going against what Nancy Pelosi wanted, but then they told her quietly, settle down, and she began to get into lockstep with the Democratic Party. And ever since then, you haven't really seen much of a war between the Squad and the Democratic Party. The Squad is part of the institutional Democratic Party because the Squad has managed to impact and change the face of the institutional Democratic Party. It's no longer the rebels. They are now the establishment.
Right.
So I think that AOC could be a formidable foe to conservatives in the future. I never would say that, but it's possible.
Yeah, but here's what's so strange. If you remember the whole idea of, the whole adage that you don't do what your parents say. If your parents say to do something, you do the opposite. You want to be the rebel. If they are no longer the rebels, they are the establishment, then the rebels will be the conservatives. That's what I'm saying. The conservatives will be the rebels coming up. Because again, I intend to get married next year. I intend to have children, and she wants lots of kids, because she basically says, and a bunch of us that we call ourselves the fellowship, people that we know, like we all together here that are unaffiliated people, want to have kids, because we basically say let's make conservatives, let's raise them right and treat them the good values, homeschool, all this, and we're going to do that because that's what's important. That's going to be the counterculture. That's so that there'll be a conservative uprising, but it's not about political. It's about family. It's about building a good family, a strong, religious, or cultural meaning for a country, for your own abilities and all that stuff. It's important. So I think that would be counter. So yes, we have to be very careful. And again, I can't dismiss AOC, and that's the thing. I didn't dismiss her. But I'm just sick and tired of the way that she's being propped up. She uses the teleprompter a lot. Because when she's off script, she is a complete idiot.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But she follows the script.
We give her time. And with that, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, for covering the results of the New Hampshire primary. I'll tell you what, we're going to let everybody give where they are on social media and exit out. So Chad, we're going to start with you, my man.
So you can follow me at Chad Manley 007 on Twitter or X. Link to my book in the bio. Thank you very much for having me once again. Always a pleasure.
Always glad to have you here. I like I say, I like a robust, diversified panel, and you guys make some of the best people to hang out with. Christian, where can people find you on social media? How can they support what you're doing?
Yeah, you can go to Twitter, or X as it's called today, at Official C. Watson. You can go to my YouTube channel, which is going to be Christian Watson Politics. I've made it a commitment to do daily content from here on out. And so, in fact, just before I came on this show, put up a video. So I'm always doing things, always trying to push and get better and collaborate and do things like that. So check it out.
Reuben, where can people find you, sir? What can they do to help you out?
Find me on YouTube, Rumble, Instagram at Reuben Haynes. I'm all over the place. I have a weight loss channel that I'll be putting content out because I have 140 pounds left to go on my weight loss journey for my tumors. My main channel on YouTube will be about men's health issues, because the men's health crisis is very real. A lot of men are self-deleting. They're going through a lot of problems, and they're being told they're being masculine. And that's not a bad. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And then on Rumble, I'm going to do more political content. Brian and I are working on a separate channel that we're going to start getting out there to do shorts, get it out there, and that'll be launching, because again, 2024 is going to be a wild year. So follow me there. Thank you very much.
And my name is Brian Trippett on the Front Porch Conservative. A small little going concern. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please do so. We'd like to be a going big concern. I'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully I can talk Reuben into joining me at 2:00 for a wrap-up stream. Again, gentlemen, you're invited to stop by, but if you already have plans or you got to work or whatever, I get it. But yeah, it's been a blast tonight, and like I say, I thought this was going to be the beginning of the end. Not so much. It's the end of the beginning. So, but in a different way than I ever thought was going to happen. So, from all of us, for Brent, for Cam, for everybody, thank everybody on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter. You guys have been absolutely awesome, and you guys have a great night.